Okay, here we go. Back once again with another episode of the Uncivilized Art podcast, the geek and internet culture podcast, where we talk about movies and sometimes games. Hopefully, we'll talk about more games in the future, but yeah, movies, games, geeky things. We try to go in depth as we can. And today we're going to be talking about Inside Out, both the Inside Out movies 1 and 2. So blanket spoiler warning for everything Inside Out for a bit later on. But for now, I am joined once again by my very favorite, most favoritist ever cosplay extraordinaire. How you doing today, Celeste?
Hello, hi. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great. And once again, my camera is off because we are accompanied by my son, Lucian. And as you know, we do not want to expose any breastises because I am breastfeeding my son. So until I have him away from me, we will have the camera off. But today I am wearing a Disney outfit. I wish you all could see. But anyways, that's enough.
Yeah. We talked about breastfeeding on the last episode. The last episode. Talked a little bit about that. I guess we won't get into it too much now, but yeah, camera off for the breastfeeding. But if you want to
For
breastfeed in
anyone
public,
who doesn't
yeah,
know, oh, yeah,
I
I
was
was
gonna
going to
say if you
say
want to
that's the
breastfeed in
Has Been
public, that's
Hotel.
all good. Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah,
but
that's the Has Been Hotel podcast if you guys
yes,
want to
yes,
see. I'm like, what
yes.
was the last episode? Has Been
Yeah,
Hotel.
Yeah, I should probably clarify that because like these episodes, I mean, they kind of don't always go up in order, and depending on when I get round to like doing stuff, it's not always right away. So the last episode that somebody might listen to might not necessarily be the last episode record. So yeah, it could be a thing. So yeah, it's the has been a hotel episode, which as of recording isn't actually live yet, but should be live because it is uploaded. It's just what do you call it, set to scheduled.
Premiere.
So it's scheduled to premiere that whole thing on Wednesday, a couple of days. So yeah, by the time this episode goes out, that should be out. So yeah, there you go.
Yay, excite bye.
But what's been keeping you busy in the last little while since we spoke last, Miss Celeste? Have you been having any moments for any geekness? Is it all motherhood and family?
Actually, yes, it's a very big thing, and I'm very happy to be helping with them. I totally forgot it's on the tip of my tongue, but today, not today, well, at the time of recording, today, I helped a small company with voice recording. I
Oh
did
wow,
some
awesome!
background lines, and it's going to be part of a commercial to help kids and women get into coding because it's primarily a dominated by males. So it's trying to help encourage more people, young kids and women and non-binary alike or gender fluid, those individuals, to, pick up a keyboard and start coding some cool programs. Maybe even get into gaming. And I feel like that's very geeky kind of thing because,
Oh, for sure. That's about as
most
geeky
people
as
are
it
like,
gets.
nut. Exactly. So I'm very excited to have lent my voice into a commercial for them.
That is really cool. That is, and coding as
Thank
well.
you.
Coding is tough. Like I did a little bit of coding many, many moons ago. I tried to learn a program called Smalltalk, which I don't even think I even use it anymore. Like it's apparently one of the easiest programs to learn, and I struggled with that. So coding is difficult. Um, but yeah, if you anybody who wants to do it, yeah, Celeste's gonna help you get into it. But it's tough, man. It's tough. Have you tried coding before,
No,
by the way, Celeste?
actually, I learned a bit of HTML. That's the best I can do.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
I would like to learn more. I started learning Ruby first because that was like an introductory course, and I'm still interested. It's just a little bit hard, and plus there's apps on your phone to teach you coding. So eventually I would like to try to do text-based games and try to just like do like one knocker kind of like games of like Oregon Trail style of like, oh yes, here's a door. Will you open it? Okay, you open the door, sprung a trap. What do? You have like 5 second countdown and then something like that would be so much fun to try to create. And it's not It's not like pixel heavy, no art design, maybe one art design for the cover, front page or like main menu kind of page. And then, do the rest. So I would love to be able to do that. I want to code more. My skills right now are just HTML and block coding. I don't know if you're familiar with block coding. Do you know what that is?
Not block coding, no. But I did. Now you mentioned, I did remember doing HTML for a little while. This is like back in the early internet days. I remember like making some
Of
websites, and you had
MySpace?
to. Yeah, MySpace a little bit, but even before that, because MySpace back in the day, you could, you know, like customize your page quite a lot. But before that, there was like some websites where you could. It was like there was one called
GeoCities,
Zoom.com.
AngelFire.
GeoCities, yes, that was one of them.
Yes.
I think
Yahoo.
GeoCities bought over Zoom, and then Yahoo bought over I can't remember how it goes, but yeah, GeoCities. I remember
I
them.
mean, but they're non-functional.
But but there was. I remember doing some stuff with them and learning some HTML and uploading some stuff, and I felt like I did some cool stuff with that actually. But yeah, back in the
If you
day.
guys want to see a blast to the past, I have my HTML Angel Fire site still alive, which is
Oh really?
ridiculous that it's still on the internet. So
What's
it's
the?
there. I think it's like heavenlysanctuary.angelfire.com or something.
Let me see if I can
And I
find
mean,
that.
it,
Heavenly
oh my
Sanctuary.
God. Let me see if I can find it and I'll send it to
Is
you
that all
because
one
that,
word? Yeah.
I think
Sanctuary.
it should be. Let me look it
How
up
can we spell sanctuary?
because
Sanctuary.
sanctuary,
Oh,
let me see.
sanctuary.
No, sanctuary. Like
Sanctuary.
like a
Sanctuary. Okay.
yes.
Sanctuary.
I know I
Dot
can find it.
com.
Give me a moment. Let's see. Celeste, or is it Celeste Orchid? Oh, yep, it's right here. It is celesteorchid.angelfire.com. Look at that. This is old. Oh my God. I have
Celeste
not touched this since 2009.
Orchid. Angelfire.com.
Yes.
All
You want
right,
to see some
that's it.
baby Celeste cosplay photos? It's there. On top of that, I've actually been trying to post more of my older cosplays on my Instagram because I'm like, you know what? There's too many new people that I've met that don't know what I've done. And I'm like, I really should treat Instagram kind of more like an actual art museum instead of like, oh, here's an instant picture. Like, here's the instant picture telegram. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use this to post new stuff and old stuff and just keep it there because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know where to go. Oh, do you have it there? And I'm like, I don't post enough as is, so I have
Hmm.
so much older content. And as the content creator, if you have content to post, you need to post it, you
Well,
know?
this is it, and especially when it comes to some of the older stuff that people like who maybe followed you in the last few years might not have seen some of the older stuff. It's kind of cool to post like something from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, as a thing of saying, "Hey,
Uh,
this is something I did back in the day," and you know, and then people are, "Oh my god, it's amazing," that kind of thing.
But the thing is, it's like these are really old convention pictures. Like I'm a dinosaur when it comes to cosplaying and conventions. My first convention, not as old as some, was in 2005. Next year will mark 20 years of me going to anime convention, like just conventions in general, and cosplay. And it's just like some of the
Two
kids that I've
thousand
met are like, "Oh, I'm
five,
I'm 12." I'm like, "Oh my God, I have been cosplaying longer than you've been alive."
two
Wow,
thousand
that's
five. So
over.
you've been cosplaying since the PlayStation 2? No,
Two,
3?
no, yeah, since two, because the PlayStation 3 came out, and I remember on PS2, the Bouncer came out, and that was like that jam, and that's when Final Fantasy X came out. So shortly after that, I definitely was cosplaying when the PS3 came out because that was around 2012-ish or earlier, like 2010, 2012.
Two PS3 really okay, I've got it here. PS3 was 2006. So yeah, you've been playing
Okay, never mind.
since
I was
2005 since
completely off with that.
the last legs of the two of the PlayStation 2. Not even the last
Yeah,
legs because the
okay.
PlayStation 2 kind of went on for a bit even after the PlayStation 3 got released,
Oh my
So
God.
yeah, you were
We could have a
definitely
whole
PlayStation during the
podcast on
PlayStation
that.
2. Oh, for real. Like PlayStation 2 did
I am a
numbers.
Sony a baby when it comes to that. I almost worked for Sony, and then I turned them down because I liked the other position I got. So
Uh,
I had three offers on the table and I turned Sony down for my other one. Do I regret it? No, not at all. Am I happy? You know, you make your choices. I miss everyone. I love the jobs. So
mm.
either way,
What was
yeah.
what was the
In
job,
the
or
future, Sony podcast.
what would it have been the job at Sony?
Oh, I would have been doing quality assurance for Sony PlayStation TV,
Okay, that's right. You don't miss much. That
which
sounds boring.
I really don't know if that's taken off at all or not. And that's why I'm like, I think it was safe that I stayed in gaming. If I had branched out into that, I think I could have pushed that into broadcasting a bit more. But then Corona hit, and I'm like, well, that would have just killed everything. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And then now with all the layoffs in the game industry, I'm like, well, thank God I
Oof.
got out of that industry.
Oh,
It's so
for real.
sad.
That's
My poor
crazy,
LinkedIn.
right? That's
Oh my God, right?
crazy. And did you hear
It
recently,
scares me
actually,
so much. Hmm.
Microsoft gave their boss like a what, a 3 million? I don't remember what it was. Like some crazy number of millions pay rise or pay bonus after they laid off like over 2,000 staff members. They give their boss some
Yeah.
crazy millions of. But yo, you are mad.
I'm like, you
Microsoft are
don't need that
mad.
money. Like, first off, why do you need that much money? And secondly, there are people that are barely scraping by and feeding their families on some of the bills that you pay. There is no reason for you to amount that much money. Like, if you want to be the next, like, Elon Musk, okay, but keep in mind, he's also hated. There's not, like, there's a more hatred to that guy than positive things, especially because it's like, at a certain point, money is just like, are you sure you need that? Like,
Mm,
you're working so much, but do you really need that? And it's like, you're
yeah,
not valuing the company enough. And it's like, what happens when that company tanks? Where do you go then? Because, Microsoft is a Fortune 500 company. And yeah, you can have like, oh yeah, it's just a 3 million raise. It's like, yeah, but you're taking away from your worker ants. What happens if you have no worker ants? You have no
yeah.
company. You have no one to make it keep going. The gears of the machine is no longer there. You have no machine.
So I just looked it up. It's yeah, he got a $30 million pay raise. That is madness.
Yeah,
$30 million. Like, what are you doing with that? Like I said, at what point is just enough enough? I mean, look, we could all do with a little more money. I ain't saying that. Like, I'm not naive to the realities of the world. We could always do with a little bit more money, right? But there's a point when it's
agreed.
like, do you really need more? Like, do you really need another 17 mansions in Dubai or whatever it is you do with this? You
Do
know what I mean?
you
Like,
need do you need a spot on the next SpaceX launch?
right.
Like what do you do with that? And it's just like you're not Oprah Winfrey opening schools in Africa. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm,
she did good. Even Mr. Beast, like I know he's under flack, but hear me out. Like he's still doing stuff. He's still using his platform, even if it's like controlled by Dare and Beast Philanthropy. They're still doing things to help people. They're showing it. It's like that's still better than just throwing money. Like we see the
mm,
results, we see what's happening. Like, okay, they gave people bikes. It's like, yeah, but there's the Bill Gates and Melinda Foundation. And it's like, but they just throw money. Like, the only thing that I know that they've done to really proactively help the world, then don't get me wrong, and charity's charity, was like they're trying to help cure polio in India. That's no easy feat, but in a first world country like the USA, polio has been cured for a while. So
mm,
it's just like, you know, they're billionaires and they're trying to fix another country's problem, whereas we have problems in our country. But if, like, well, you're in the UK, but the
right,
USA
yeah.
is very different. So it's just like you can't have controlled, paid, like, what is this, like rental control places? But I mean, they could, they could have a place that is rent controlled and not raise the rent, right? Because they have
Yeah,
so much
there's the
money. It's like that's a way of paying it back without being like, oh yeah, we're just gonna throw money at people and then they have to deal with it. It's like, but you could do this instead. You could do this instead. And it's like I don't know. There's just so many humanitarian things that I have on my mind of like, if I had the money, I would definitely
mm,
be like, okay, my employees could work here and I would not increase the raise of like rent, right? But it's at the same time, it's like, how are you any better than China? Because China does that. They're like, okay, we house you and we pay you, but we have this XYZ, which they take the first paycheck that you make and say that they use that to pay back like the bills that you amass. And then like two paychecks later, you finally start getting paid. So like you're a slave worker there. But
All
I'm
right,
like,
so they take with one hand, give with the other, or give with one
uh-huh.
hand, take with the other. Oh yeah, that.
Exactly. So it's like this really weird situation, but I'm like, but you could fight all the people who aren't working as landlords. Like if you're a landlord, no offense to anyone that is,
Um,
and you rely on someone else paying for your bills, but you don't treat them right, like how does that work? You know?
yeah,
Just
no,
saying.
there's definitely some. Oh, okay.
Oh, no, I'm done. I'm done.
No, oh, you could. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's definitely some unscrupulous landlords out there. I mean, I've only actually just recently become a landlord. So we were like,
Not
oh,
trying
yeah,
to jab at
yeah.
you.
But yeah, that's recent. I mean, I haven't had time to treat them any badly yet. Plus, they already gave their notice to move out soon. So, oh well, is what it is. But yeah, like there's I mean, what's that phrase? There's no such thing as a good billionaire. I mean, it's like I don't know if
Yeah. It's
I don't
that
know
I
if
think
that's
it's that.
true, but it does definitely feels like that way. It definitely feels that way. Like maybe there is one somewhere, but yeah,
We don't
I
know
don't
who
know.
he is.
Yeah,
I mean, because Bill Gates even cheated on his wife. It's like, oh, come on, man. You're like the epitome of good billionaire, and now you cheated on your wife. Like, come on.
you know what's crazy about Bill Gates and who's the other guy? Bezos, right? The
Jeff
Amazon
Bezos.
dude. Yeah, like they both got divorced after they became billionaires, right? Now, I'm not saying that it's all about the money because it's not. Clearly, it's not. But you got to think like if you're married to these guys, right? They've
Hmm.
got a lot of money. They got a lot of sway. They could do a lot of things for you at the snap of a finger. Like, how bad of a person do you have to be to live with? To divorce? You know what I mean? Like, at what point
Well,
do you
yeah,
say I would rather
absolutely.
not be with you? And for okay, granted they get their settlements, and that's a lot of money, so it's not exactly walking away empty-handed. But at the same time, it's like it's not as much as you could have access to, and you're still willing to be like, yeah, I will walk away from that. I'd rather walk away from that than be with this person. Like, I don't know what's going on in their families. I ain't trying to speak for no, but I'm just saying that to my ears sounds like there's more to these stories. Perhaps,
Oh, exactly.
perhaps
Like,
we
we
get
don't
we
know
know
what
is
goes
like.
on behind closed doors. Yeah.
I'm just saying people
Like,
put up with a lot for far less, and for the fact that it's like people that both those women were like, nah, man, don't care about your
we out.
billions. I'm leaving. Like, I don't, it's just not worth it. It's like, all right, all right,
It's like,
all right.
make sure you got that
Speculation. I
prenup.
know. I'm speculating. I know. I'm not trying to say what happened. I don't know. Just,
Of course we don't know.
but yeah.
I'm always saying, like, you don't know what happened with that person's day. You don't know what's going on in their head. So it's
Hmm.
like, just try to be kind. But once you get with someone and create a relationship, now you know. And then now you can judge.
Real. All right. So
But
so as for myself, I don't know if this counts as geekiness. Well, it kind of does. It no, I think it does. I'm going to say it does because it's me and I'm geeky. But I've been watching season 2. Oh, you okay?
no, I'm dying.
Oh, you need some
I'm
water or
choking
something?
on a popcorn.
Oh, sorry. Need a
I
minute?
have water. Hold on. Oh,
No popcorn.
shit.
Eesh. Them kernels get stuck in your throat though. Like,
I know. It sucks. And I'm holding my son. Let me mute myself.
all right, all right. I'll chat a little bit while Celeste gets right, get some water. So yeah, I've been watching season 2 of Bel Air, which is the dramatization of the Fresh Prince of Bel Air from the 90s, the comedy starring Will Smith from the 90s. And I really liked season 2. I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, season 1 I thought was really good, but the kind of issues I had with season one was that I felt like it started off with a lot of different storylines and didn't seem to finish many of them. And then it also made so many references to the original show, things that happened like in the original show, there was things that happened over, 4, 5, 6 seasons, and they're hitting all these key points of the original show in one season in the space of 10 episodes. I just felt they're doing too much in that first season. Like, it's like, chill, you don't need to do all this in this first season. So even though I enjoyed it, even though I felt it was a pretty good show overall, I still think it's worth watching. It did feel like they were doing just a little bit too much, whereas with this second season, it does feel like they're taking their time a bit more. It still has some of the same things of starting the storyline and not always finishing the story, and maybe like implying things, and then it's kind of an anticlimax. It does a little bit of that, but I do feel overall with the second season, it was just a lot more better paced, and it's a lot more of its own thing without relying too much on things that happened in the original show. And I just think it's a better season for it. So yeah, Bel Air season 2, really good.
Is that on Amazon Prime or like
no?
Paramount
It's
Plus?
in
Peacock?
the UK. I think in America it's on Peacock. In the UK it's on Sky Now TV, or what's it called? Sky Go. So there's two Sky services. One's called Sky Go. One's called Sky. This is the same company. I don't know why they have two different streaming services, but yeah, it's on Sky over here.
It's the privacy laws kind of thing. Like, different sections of the world have different kinds of censorship values. So in order to fix that, or who the parent company is, they have different branches of the company.
Okay, interesting. Interesting.
I know this because I was submissions for video games, and in certain areas we had to change the game rating. So some type of censorship is allowed, some is not.
Okay. So Sky's trying to get around some stuff by just having two different streaming services in the same country and be like, oh yeah, this is this for that and this for that. Yeah, it's all weird.
It's highly possible. It could be something else. Like,
But
if
yes.
anyone wants to tell me that I'm wrong, feel free. I'm okay with being wrong. Now, if you attack me, that's a different thing. The popcorn already
no
did
attacking.
that.
No attacking. You can let us know if we got something wrong. It's all good. But yeah, no attacking. Ain't no need for that. I mean, the way we do these shows, like these podcasts, like we record them, we don't edit them. So it's very likely that, we're going to make a mistake, say something wrong, or, something comes off the top of my head and you say it, and then maybe you don't realize it's the wrong thing or whatever. I mean, of course, we, when we're talking, I mean, before we talk, we do our research on things. Like, we've got to talk about Inside Out. We watch Inside Out. We, think about what we're going to say. But, even still, mistakes can be made. So, yeah, if anything is said that's wrong, incorrect, not quite accurate, then, yeah, feel free to let us know. It's all good. It's all good. But, yeah, no attacking. No attacking. We aren't doing
Put
that
those claws away, Wolverine.
Yeah.
There's no fighting here.
Exactly. This is a fight-free zone. This ain't the UFC.
Did you watch that?
What?
Did you watch Deadpool Wolverine?
Oh, no, not yet. Not yet. I have not seen that yet.
Oh, my goodness.
I've not seen that yet.
Okay. I will keep my lips sealed on that.
I wanted to say, I was supposed to go see it with some friends a little while ago, and it kind of fell through, with stuff. But now it's kind of been out for a while. I'm thinking, you know what, it's probably going to be on Disney Plus soon enough. I know it's on Amazon to buy. You can buy it as like for £13 or something like on Amazon. So I feel like it's probably not too long before it's on Disney Plus. So at this point, I'm thinking, yeah, I might just wait for that. But yeah, no, I haven't seen it.
You want to know something waiting for? I did not know. Thank you, Lucian. Anything else? Okay. I did not know that they made a third Venom movie. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah, it's out soon. Or it might be out already, actually. But yeah,
it's already out. I didn't know that it was out. Yes, it's already out.
It's probably going to suck, though. Like, it's probably not very good.
Venom, like chasing after Carnage? Yeah, that's a hard follow.
I mean, the first Venom movie was okay, I guess. It was
How
it was
dare
okay.
you? Okay, let's go to Inside Out.
The second Venom movie absolutely sucked. Like, it was terrible. Now, don't get me wrong. I still want to watch the third movie. I still want to watch it, but I'm not holding my breath for anything. I feel like I'm going in pretty much expecting it to suck, and I'm okay with it sucking. I'm okay with that. If it sucks, I'm good with that. But yeah, Venom sucked. Venom
Well,
was bad.
so we will get to that in a future podcast of Why Venom Sucks by Bandit Haze. Stay tuned.
Yes, stay tuned for that.
Wait, are you a Venom fan? Is that something that you actually
I mean,
follow?
I wouldn't say I'm a Venom fan in that sense. I mean, yeah, I've known of Venom, and he's definitely one of my favorite characters in the comics. I don't know as much about him as maybe a Venom fan would know, but yeah, you know, I know a little bit. I know a tiny little icky
Would you
little
call
bit.
yourself would you call yourself a Venom enthusiast?
Oh no, I'm not. I'm not. I'm more. I'll say back in the day, I was definitely a Spider-Man fan. And
Okay,
even
so
now, I
that's
still consider myself a
he's
Spider-Man fan.
tertiary.
And of course, Venom shows up in the Spider-Man comics. So I know of him
But
mostly
not in
through
the
that.
same
Yeah.
cinematic universe. What is
And
this? This is so messed up that we didn't get a Tom Holland and Tom Hardy crossover. Like,
well, we
I'm so
kind of
hurt.
did, actually.
Not enough. It's not a
Yeah,
full
we kind
standalone
of
movie. I need that.
almost, sort of.
I need it.
But
I
yeah, Tom and
need
Tom.
it.
I mean, Spider-Man 4 has been announced, so who knows? Maybe Tom Holland might show up in. Tom Hardy might show up in that. Maybe.
Too many Toms. Too
Yeah.
many not happenings.
Tom Holland,
And
Tom Hardy, Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise. We need all the Toms.
Tom. Who's the
Tom Selleck.
guy?
That's pretty old school,
Who's
though.
the guy that did Tom Hanks?
Tom Hanks, yeah. So him.
Did you say that?
Yeah, we said Tom Hanks and Tom Selleck.
Oh, I guess I suck.
I'm trying to figure out other Toms. I think that's all the Toms I can think of right now. I don't know. I'm sure there's others. Tom Berenger?
Yeah.
Did I just make that up? I think I just made that up. Is there a Tom Berenger?
No, there's Thomas saying Barlinger. Like, he's the kid that was Nanny McPhee, a little kid. You know, he's Thomas. He's not Tom, but I bet he goes by Tom.
There is a Tom Berenger, actually.
Who is he?
There
What's he
there
do?
is a what? Tom Berenger. He's an American actor nominated for the
Oh,
Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his
in
portrayal
what?
of the Staff Sergeant Bob Barnes in Platoon. Okay, old school actor. But yeah, there is a Tom Berenger.
Well, look at that.
Yeah,
Call him
I know
from
all
the
the
dead.
Toms. I know all the Toms. My middle all.
Like Tom Clancy? Does that work? Splinter Cell?
Tom Clancy. He's like the hardest working dead man. Tom Clancy. Like the way the way Ubisoft writes that name. Tom Clancy this, Tom Clancy that, Tom Clancy this. Like, bro, let the
No,
man
no,
rest in
no.
peace.
Don't even. Because, like, who's that guy? Tyler Perry also goes hardcore with it. Tyler Perry's run something, something, something. How she got her groove back.
Yeah, but Tyler Perry's still alive, so he's allowed to pimp himself out. Like,
Wait, is Tom Clancy dead?
yeah, he died in 2013.
Ah, what? Where was I? Oh, I was busy dealing with a lot
Yeah,
of
died in
random stuff. It's
2013
okay.
at age 66 years old.
You know what? That's fine. That's fine. I
He was
mean,
born in
people still
Baltimore,
pimp out
Maryland, United
Tupac.
States, and died in the John Hopkins Hospital, Baltimore, Maryland, United States.
Oh, poor guy. Just know he's got a legacy.
I can Google things real quick, apparently, too. So if anyone's thinking, man, you
Well,
know a lot
I'm
about Tom
holding a
Clancy.
child. I can't.
I'm
Is
just
this why
Googling
you're
stuff.
able to pull up every Tom? Because you're typing
Um,
it in right now?
oh, you know what? I guess I can't prove that, but I did remember all those Toms. Those were memory Toms. Those were all
Yeah, I
memory
think
Toms.
if
But I
we
guess
had our cameras.
I guess it's a suspect now. I guess it's suspect.
No,
Is
it's
it memory or
okay.
did he just Google all these Toms?
Guess what? He had it written down ready for this segment.
Yeah, just on
He
the
read it
palm of
off
my hand, all
rapid
the Tom
fire.
names.
Underneath the eyelid, like old Looney Tunes. Did you say Tom Brady?
I didn't say Tom Brady.
I
Tom
got one.
Brady. Baseball? No.
I
What's
thought it
the
was
other
football.
American sport that?
Football.
I mean, it's American sports. I don't think it really counts anyway. So
How dare you? It totally counts if people pour
They're,
billions of dollars into
they're,
it.
yeah, but they're not like real sports though. They're just like make believe or something. There we go.
Yes,
I
just
mean,
like
there we
cricket.
go.
Cricket is make believe.
Cricket is rubbish. What the? You know what? Cricket is like. Okay, it's maybe not the worst sport. I mean, but the fact that you have a
Water
sport
polo.
that lasts like 4 days is like, why? Why? Whose idea was that? Whose idea was it to be like, yeah, we're gonna have one game that lasts like 4 days? Like, people got
I
like jobs
mean,
to go to. Like, what are you doing for
well,
four
back in the
days?
day they didn't. It was for the rich to do, right? Can you imagine being on some estate and be like, yes, Lord Cumberbatch and his peasants have a cricket game. Oh,
Yeah,
yes, the
that's probably what
annual
that was.
cricket game. Yes, we shall partake in it this year. I dare say, little Benedict, he was doing so well in school, but now that the annual games are here, we shall partake and pause his studies. Can you imagine? Back in the
That's probably
old
exactly how
days,
it
like,
went down.
you think, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Because why else would they have 4 days of a sport like that and not be the Olympics? Like,
It's
I'm
like
just saying.
exactly. That's like a game. Do you know what I mean? Like one game. It's like, why is it going so long? It's like, bro, like people got things to do. You know, like what are you doing? Like half the game lasts, I don't know, an hour, and whoever scores the most points in an hour wins. Like, why not do that? You know, I mean, I
Yeah,
don't watch enough
just like
cricket to
every other
know if
normal
that's a good
game.
idea or not. But I'm just saying that
I mean,
you could shorten that down. You know, you could shorten that.
oh yes, absolutely. Not gonna lie about that one. Remember, listen, we got things to do. We got things to see. Lots of media intake, choking on popcorn at the same time.
Yeah. But I
But
used to
that's
play a little
nothing.
bit of cricket when I was in school. Not like in a serious way, but just, like in the playground with that kind of thing. And I'll say it was kind of a fun game to play, but we didn't play it like 4 days. We'd just be playing like swinging a bat and then running and then, maybe hoping the ball hits somebody and laugh at them. That's pretty much how we play cricket.
I mean, but isn't that the funny part? Because it's like you're supposed to catch it, not
Yeah,
get
like,
hurt.
oh, damn, got my eye. Oh. Every turns into Nelson at that point. Don't laugh at people who get hit by
What
cricket
a
balls.
wanker. Am I allowed to say that?
Wank. What a
Is that too
wanker.
much?
That's
No,
not
I mean,
enough.
like,
You
there's
need to go more. You need to go more. I mean,
no me go more. That's
yeah. I
no,
mean, you said
no,
wanker. What else you got? What else you got? What other British insults you know?
no. I no. I don't think I have any other laughs. No, I don't have any other funnies to give.
All right, no
Also, my
bother, no
son is
bother.
here. We gotta behave.
Oh, fair enough, fair enough. Well, yeah, no swearing in front of the kids. But yeah, those
I've
cricket balls
tried
are
so
hard.
hard. It is so hard because anytime I cuss, I have to hold back, and we say the word shark now.
I mean, it doesn't matter though because, like, I mean, I guess it matters, but does it really matter? Like, so okay, so you might say an F bomb or a S word or a this word. Eh, there's worse things you could say in front of the kids. Yeah.
There are, and that's why we're trying to be mindful of how we do things and raise them with love and intelligent conversations, and not just like, oh man, this fucking sucks. And then we don't want him to sit around daycare going, this fucking sucks, this fucking sucks, this fucking sucks.
Yeah,
That doesn't make you look good in your community.
yeah, but if his teachers speak Danish, they might not understand him anyway.
Um, well, unfortunately for us, they can speak English.
Ah, that sucks. That sucks. Oh well. Well, if you
No,
don't
it's
want him
okay. It's
swearing,
good
keep
for
him away
us.
from Mario. Like, don't let him play any Mario games because he'd be swearing all the time if he starts playing, especially them old school Mario games.
Oh
Keep
my
them both
gosh.
away from that. He'd be swearing non-stop. You start playing those
First
games,
thing,
like,
we had to keep him away from Mario Party because that will make you curse no matter what. Like,
oof.
and then we keep him away from the games. But it's so funny, speaking of that, um, Mario picked up our Switch Lite and he's like he just wanted to play something. So I went into Switch Online and I pulled up Super Mario World, the SNES version, and I put him in Yoshi's house, and he's like, apple, 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 apple. So he was so happy just to see like apples, and like he didn't really know how to push the buttons. I tried helping him, but he wasn't interested in that. But he was like, apple, apple, apple. So that was his first ever like somewhat introduction to actual gaming. He was holding the Switch, not really pushing the buttons, but he saw the apples in Super
Ah,
Mario World's Yoshi's house.
yeah, start 'em. Yeah, start 'em right. Start 'em right.
That is the best Super Mario game. You can't tell me otherwise. I will replay that game until my thumbnails fall off.
What? Sweet sunshine. Wait, did
No,
you say sunshine?
Super
No, what?
Mario. No, I said Super Mario Land on
Oh,
Super
land. Sorry,
Nintendo
my bad. My bad.
Entertainment System.
Okay, yeah. Land. Land. Did I play land? I think I played one of the lands. Can't remember if it was land or lands two. I don't remember, but
I
yeah,
don't
that was pretty
know.
cool.
Oh, is it World? Is it Super Mario World?
Mario World. I think I
Is
played
that the
Super
one?
Mario World,
The one where they have the cape instead of the Tanuki suit?
but there was one that I played on. I think it was the Game Boy. That was.
Ah,
I think that was land
I
or
think
land
that's
two.
Land. Okay, so I'm talking about World. I get these mixed up.
But yeah, there was one on. I think the Super NES one was World.
Okay, so that's the
I
one.
think.
Yeah. See, now you're getting me mixed up. It's okay.
Yeah, Super
Hello.
NES was World. Super NES was World.
Yeah, the best. And it's got a little picture of him wearing a yellow cape with riding Yoshi.
Let me go
The
back.
best.
Land was Game Boy. Yellow Cape, yeah, and World.
Okay.
That's the one. That's the one. Yeah,
Yes, that's the best.
yeah. I like that. I did play it. I don't think I ever completed it, but yeah, I did enjoy playing it. Um, I think
I
my
always
favorite
had a
America is probably
problem with
64 though. Oh, sorry, what was
I
it?
actually completed it. It is one of the hardest levels. You know, you're really good at that game if you can complete the level called Tubular. If you
Tubular.
can complete that level, you know that you're good at that game.
Let me look this up. Tubular, real quick. See what it
Oh
looks
my
like.
God.
Oh, I think I've seen videos of this one actually. Did you complete this level?
Yep, I did.
Oh, that's what's up.
It is so hard. And like you just gotta be smart. And it's like, okay, you don't use a Yoshi, you don't and like that's one of the saddest parts because it's just like you think you could get away with being a Yoshi, like riding a blue Yoshi. Nah, nah, bro. You gotta sacrifice him and you gotta use the pea balloon. And it's just like, no. And you have to know exactly which like block to hit, otherwise you lose the pea balloon. Because there's no platforms. It is an absolute nightmare flying thing.
Yeah, I
And
think.
on top of that, there's like the ghost house at the end at Bowser's Castle in the back entrance. It took me years to figure out how to do that. And it's like, oh yeah, you control the little snake to get you up there with your head. And I was like, why can't I get to this little part? Don't know. Anyways, you were gonna say?
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say I've seen like videos of like people playing this level and just like the precision timing that you need for it to like get the right blocks, to hit the right things, to jump off, to bounce off this or enemies and all that. It's like, yo, I'm not even trying to attempt that. I'm not even trying to attempt that. That's mad.
It takes a while to get there too because it's in the special zone. So like you have to beat Star World first, and then you can go to special. And then I forget what happens at the end. Oh, I forget. I really don't remember what happens if you beat special,
Well,
but
hopefully something
it's
special,
fun.
but yeah.
I mean, I feel special that I can just beat Tubular. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. There's probably like 5 people in the world who've ever actually done it, and you're one of them. So, I mean, I don't know
Well,
that
don't
for a
say
fact, by
that.
the way, but
There's definitely other people who have beaten that level.
yeah, that one guy who made a video, and that's it. You and that one guy.
And yeah, and then the QA testers that had to do it too.
Yeah, but they don't count. They don't count.
Yeah,
They
anyone who works on the game has to be able to like complete it. Like that's just
exactly
broken if you don't. Like, can
right,
you
exactly.
imagine being the people to test playing Elden Ring first and then like Elder Scrolls, like Skyrim? Like, oh yeah, by the way, there's a bug over here. Okay, replicate it. It's like, damn it. Did you
Yeah,
fix it? Damn it.
yeah, yeah. Like, well, the thing about game testing, actually, because I've done a tiny little bit of game testing. Yeah, you don't really play the game so much for the most part. Like, you really just spend a lot of time running into walls, and things like that, like running into walls and making sure like you can't go through walls when you're not supposed to go through walls, and that's really a lot of it, just running into walls and making sure you can't do anything you're not supposed to be able to do. Which imagine a game like, I don't know, like a Legend of Zelda, where you got all these secrets and whatever and everything else, and it's like, which was the wall you're supposed to run through, which is the wall you're not supposed to. Like, that'd be a madness trying to test that game. But hey,
Oh yeah.
somebody's got to do
So
it.
like it kind of it's sucky because like some people get broken down in sectors, but now with the new Zelda, did you start the second Zelda? Breath of the Wild,
No,
second
yeah, I still haven't
Tears
completed
of the
Breath of the
Kingdom.
Wild yet. Like I play.
Would it bother you if I say something about
No,
it?
go for it, go for it. I think at this point,
Okay.
it's gonna be a
It's
while,
not
if
it's not
ever.
really a spoiler, but there you have three levels of the land now. So can you imagine game testing? Okay, you have to do the Sky World. Okay, now you got to do the regular Hyrule. Okay, now you got to go
Yeesh.
subterranean Hyrule. And subterranean Hyrule has different plateau levels of it too, so it's even worse. And I'm just,
Yeah,
no.
just, just,
But
just, just right. Yeah, it's
yeah,
fine. Just so good. Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. That's probably what happens now. Actually, as well, so many games turn out broken. People can't be bothered on one. They're like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
yeah, the type of game testing that I did was submissions, like I said. Um, so like I would literally have to be able to play the game through all the way to the credits. And if there was a problem with the credits, we got reported for that. And so we would have to resubmit the game and fix the credits.
The credit, like when the
So
credits are rolling at the end, credits.
yeah, I have to play from start to finish.
Oh, okay.
Like that was my job because I did submission handling.
Okay, so I guess you have to make sure the game can be played.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so there are people that do the type that you're talking about where you had to run through walls or just test like that. I was one of those type of testers to begin with, and then I was picked to be on a submissions team, which I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do this because
Yeah, you
some of
got the
the
promotion.
types of
Yeah.
bugs that I was reporting, yeah, collision bugs. Some of the bugs that I was reporting were some very specific niche type of testing. And they were like, oh, you'd be really actually good for this. So why don't we put you on that team? And actually, it turned out to be very fruitful. So I'm like very proud of it. Um,
Well, indeed,
that being
indeed.
said, like there's different types of testers. Uh, you got your collision testers, you have like your controllers kind of things. Also, you have your network testers. And then of course you have like skin kind of testing. So it's just like, oh, how does this artwork look? Does this look okay? Is that okay? Are we missing the graphic here? Did the graphic get messed up? So like imagine you're playing Super Smash Brothers, right? And you're Bowser and you like do like a butt pound kind of thing, like where he just jumps up in the air and like smashes down with his butt. Can you imagine his legs going all the way across the screens? That's not supposed to happen because that needs to be written up. No, you can't ship that. So there are certain things that certain types of testing needs to be done before it can be shipped. So yeah, why did we get on this topic?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. I'm not even sure, but yeah, we kind of went around about a few things, but hey, it's all good. It happens sometimes. I ain't mad at it. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, perhaps about time we did move over to the main topic. um,
We
so
digress so much.
it's all good. It's all good. So yeah, main topic for today: In and Out, both In and Out movies, 1 and 2. Well, just
Inside
In and
out.
Out. Well, I said In and Out, didn't I?
Inside out.
Inside
You're
Out.
saying in and out.
I said In and Out.
Inside out.
I'm
Yeah,
thinking
like
of the
the
Hokey
fast food
Cokey.
chain.
I was thinking of something else. In and Out.
Oh my gosh.
Inside Out, the Disney
So,
movie, Disney
yep.
Pixar movie. Inside Out and Inside Out 2. So yeah, we're going to get into some spoilers, all that sort of stuff. Try and talk about them in as much detail as we can. But before we do all that, real quick, how would you describe the Inside Out movies in a briefly in a non spoiler way for anybody who hasn't seen them?
It breaks it down. Oops. It breaks it down to your basic emotions. Obvious from trailers, you can tell that there's joy, fear, anger, sadness, and disgust. And it just really goes through a little personal tidbit of your life and helps you understand where someone might be. There's that.
Yeah, yeah, I think I'd agree
Through
with
the
that.
eyes of like a 13-year-old girl.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. Without spoiling it just yet, I would say that yeah, it's a interesting, kind of funny, kind of comical, light-hearted, and also a little bit serious look at your emotions and how they could affect you and why you might even be feeling the things that you feel in your young life going into your teenage years. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting movie. Definitely could be viewed in on a very surface level, but also just as a fun movie to watch on a surface level. But also, could get a little deep as well. For those who want a little bit more meat in their burrito, could get a little bit deep. But yeah, worth watching. I'll say that definitely worth watching both those movies. But yeah, I think that's enough of the non-spoiler section. Let's get to the let's get to the
The
real meat and
juice.
potato. Let's get to the juice. Exactly. Let's get to the juice. So this is your spoiler warning for Inside Out and maybe In and Out as well. We'll see.
Oh
But
man, I could use a burger.
for a good burger going in and then out in a couple of days.
Oh no,
Um,
you don't know this, but In and Out is actually a fast food chain in the USA.
oh no, I just meant that
Oh, okay,
because
never
it's
mind.
called In
Okay.
and Out, it would go in and then out.
Yes. Okay.
But
We
yeah,
were both
it
going
was a
on
bad
that.
joke. It was a bad joke.
It's okay.
Uh, but yeah, we might spoil in and Out too, but mostly Inside Out and Inside Out 2 we're gonna be talking about. So yeah, if you've seen it already, cool. If you've not seen it already and you just don't care about spoilers, cool. If you do care about spoilers, then you might want to check those out first. But for now, Lady Celeste Orchid, what is your main thoughts on the Inside Out movies? Like in terms of like,
Um,
what's the thing that stands out for you the most about them?
it really hits hard now, like for me, because now that I'm a mom of two, and I see like, oh no, there's like these emotions. Oh, that's gross. Oh, that's icky. And I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna have to help my kid process these emotions. And it's like, how do you help with that? How do you cope with it? How do you cope with it yourself? And it's just like, this is what's going on in your brain. And it's like, not exactly, but it's a character of it, right? And I'm like, oh, how can I help my kid? I hope he doesn't have these problems. And, you can't always be joyful because without the other times, how do you know that you're always really happy? How are you content? What happens? And it explains why these all these like random moments into my head. It's like, oh yeah, let's play this memory. I'm like, why?
Yeah,
But
yeah, that
overall,
random jingle from 20 years ago or whatever. Yeah, but yeah,
yeah. Look at this photograph. Every time it makes me laugh. Oh my God. Makes me old. I really like the breakdown of emotions and how it controls or how they kind of help control, but they aren't like exactly like Riley. Riley being the main character. And it's just like, oh yeah, we have joy, we have anger, sadness, and disgust. But that's not just Riley because they don't dictate everything that they do. They just help her with her like processing. Would you say it like that?
yeah, I'd say so. Like,
So,
yeah, they're not
yeah.
they're effectively like all the emotions combined is Riley, and some of the emotions that might take precedent at certain points. But ultimately, she is all of them all together.
Right. And then within Inside Out too, how they created this sense of self. I was like, oh my God, that is such a thing. And especially because in this first one, she's like preteen. In the second movie, she's like, yeah, now I'm going to high school. It's like, oh my God, oh my goodness, like this is happening. And it gives us kind of an insight of like, oh yeah, we were that nervous teen. Because once we get to this more complicated emotions of like ennui, which is boredom, quote unquote,
Yeah,
or like
ennui.
carelessness, I'm not really sure what that one's supposed to be called. But
Which one?
and then
Ennui.
and yeah,
Ennui's
but
French,
what
I
it
think.
yeah, but how would you describe that in English?
Oh, wait, yeah, that was boredom. Or ennui was boredom.
Okay, that's so weird to call it ennui, but I think that was a good choice. Um, ennui, anxiety, and fear, and then somewhat nostalgia started coming in and out. And I was like, oh my God, those are legit things. And it's so big now, too, that a lot of people don't know how to handle their embarrassment and anxiety. So I'm just like, oh my God, actually having an anxiety attack and showing how it could really destroy like your fortitude, like your mental fortitude is like so big. And I'm like, I'm
Mm.
glad that they actually had that in Inside Out too. I didn't know where it was going to take us, but I was like, oh,
Yeah, I felt like what they did over the two movies was a really good way of describing how your emotions work. I mean, of course, like you can look at it and say, yeah, it's there's your brain's could be is going to be far, or your brain or your feelings and emotions could be far more complicated than and how they present it. But ultimately, what it does in the movie, I think, is that it just kind of breaks it down to an understandable level in terms of like, especially, well, not especially, but just going with the first movie where joy was the first emotion, right? And that makes sense because that's all, when you're born, well, it depends on how you're born, I suppose, but generally speaking, you're born, it's just happiness, right? That's all there is. And then sadness comes along with later, and then other emotions come. And then by the time she's a bit older, like what, 10, 11, I think, in the movie, they have this team, and joy is like very much taking precedent the whole way through. And that kind of, and I feel like that did make sense as a youth, because you don't really think about a lot of stuff and how they might affect things. It's just all about having fun and blah blah blah. So that's kind of like just the main thing, just pushing forward all the time, just joy. But then I like what they did in terms of like, because I think as adults we generally understand this, but you don't necessarily understand it when you're young. That it's not just about trying to be happy all the time, but understanding that every single one of your emotions is trying to do something for you, and allowing yourself to feel those emotions is important. Allowing yourself to feel sadness is important. Allowing yourself to feel anger, to feel, sometimes you're going to be embarrassed or disgusted by things, or you're going to be scared of things and feel fear. But it's important to allow yourself to feel all of these so you can process it and try to understand what it's telling you. So I really liked how they show that in this movie, where Joy being a leader and Joy being the one that's pushing forward, but it was that over joyfulness that was ultimately making everything worse in the end, because joy can't solve everything. Happiness can't solve everything. Just slapping a smile on your face can't solve everything. Pretending bad things don't happen can't solve everything. You have to be able to let yourself feel them, to process them. And yeah, I just feel like what they did in that movie, considering it's a movie aimed at kids, that's something that hopefully they can watch and feel maybe more equipped to understand that going into their teenage years and adult years. And they do a similar thing with the second movie as well, in terms of like, processing the emotions, but this time it's more anxiety because she's a teenager now. Puberty's kicking in, and there's all kinds of things that happen during that time, right? She's embarrassed by this. She's used to she likes this band, but the cool kids don't like this band, and and she wants them like her. She's worried about her friends never gonna if they're gonna see her because they're going to a different school, and should I fit in with this crowd and make them like me, and I should change myself to so they can like me, and I should think about all these things that could go wrong, and I think a lot of us have been in that situation or similar situations where we're just constantly focused on all these different things that can go wrong, thinking that that's gonna make everything better if you can anticipate them, but ultimately it just makes you stressed out, worried. You're acting out of fear rather than out of love and understanding. There's so many things that just like go wrong when you do that. And similar with that movie, and I just feel like they depicted it so well when anxiety effectively just has like this breakdown. She has like as a panic attack or an anxiety attack, and it's just like this whirlwind going around that they couldn't get near, and they had to, Joe had to kind of force through, and then help him take his hands off the controls, and then they had to take the new sense of self off, which was built up of all these like bad possible outcomes, and I'm not good enough, I'll never be good, that kind of thing, and then even the old sense of self couldn't really be there anymore, because ultimately that was kind of a delusion in terms of like, you're not always going to be a good person, you're not always going to get things right, you're not always going to be the hardest worker and the kindest person, you're going to be pissed off and maybe do the wrong things at time. So there had to be a new sense of self which grew out of that stem, which allowed a more holistic view, an honest view. So yeah, I feel like both movies did that really well. So yeah.
For sure, because like that was something that was like really interesting. Because when you're a kid, you don't really have a sense of self. You don't really know, like, oh, is this good? Is this bad? Like my first son, Mario, he likes to just pretend slap, and then he thinks it's funny, and it's like, no, you can't really do that. That's not nice. So he'll like pretend slap Lucian, and like it doesn't hurt us adults, but you shouldn't hit a baby. So it's like, no, that's not good, and he doesn't know that. I don't think that's something that you can establish early until like, he really gets it. Because I think a 5-year-old would know, hey, I'm not supposed to hit people. A 2-year-old, not so much because they're still growing, So I think the sense of self being established in the second movie is really pivotal compared to like the first movie, because she's still kind of a kid. And then in the second movie, it's like, no, she's starting to really become an adult now, or like her transition into adulthood. I would be really happy if they branched out into like a third movie, so that way they can further explore it. Like she just got into puberty, so let's see how she functions in puberty and going into the stress of like university. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's like there's a lot of functions that would suck being in that phase. I remember going through that phase and such, and it wasn't fun. But at the same time, some of those were like moments where I'm like, yeah, this is life defining and XYZ. So I just think like the sense of self is like, oh yeah, I can tell myself I'm a good person all I want, but this is the truth. And I'm glad that they like released all of those bad ideas from the back of the mind and slowly come forth. And it's like, no, I am honest, but I know sometimes I'm not the best. And you have to come to terms with it. Kind of like,
Mm.
okay, I know how to play cricket, but that doesn't mean I'm like the best player. Back to the
Cricket.
cricket topic.
Yeah, we now
You
to
know,
play
for all
four
you
days of
people
cricket.
there in the UK,
So excuse me.
I play so terrible. We're
Um,
gonna play for 6 more days.
yeah, I know how to hold a bat and swing it and maybe hit the ball, but doesn't mean
Yeah,
I'm good.
it was kind of like it was like kind of really on point too in the second movie when she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm trying to impress these other people, so I'm gonna laugh at the things that I like too." I was like, "Oh yeah, Yeah, I think we've all have tried to do that whole like, oh, I like this too. I'm cool. Look at me.
Yeah, trying to fit in with people that not. I won't say you shouldn't necessarily fit in because the was it Ortiz? I forget blank on the name right now, but the star player, Valerie
I
Ortiz, I
can't
think her name
remember her
was.
name.
But
Well,
yeah,
you're
though
at the keyboard. You could look it up really quick.
I could, couldn't I? But yeah, they weren't necessarily bad people. So it's not like she was hanging with a wrong crowd and that kind of thing. But at the same time, she just wasn't being herself, and that's really the thing. Like when you're with people that you can't necessarily be yourself around, it's an issue, right? Because Val Ortiz, yeah, Valentina Ortiz. And it's an issue because even though like Val Ortiz and her friends, they're not making her take drugs and do bad things, but and even
They're not drinking at school and playing hooky.
yeah, well, not yet anyway. Maybe that's for Inside Out 3. But
That's what I'm thinking.
I mean, she's getting into them teenage years. I'm just saying that's a thing that happens. Come do some drugs. So yeah, they're not doing that, but at the same time, it's like she feels like she has to pretend to be this version of what she thinks is cool in order for them to like her, which may not even be the truth. They may like her just anyway, but she's not allowing that to happen because she's so anxious that they won't like her if she tells them, "Oh, my favorite band is was it Glow in the Boys? Oh, yeah, those guys.
Yeah, I really don't remember their
Yeah.
names. Like everything right now, I'm like, I can't remember. It's on the tip of my tongue, and now I can't remember. Ah. Anyways, yeah, it's just kind of like, oh, that weird, awkward, like, oh, I'm not a middle schooler. I'm about to be a high schooler. I want to have like the best people with me.
Get Up and Glow. That
I
was
want to
it. Get Up
impress
and
these
Glow.
people.
Hmm.
And, I want to have a spot on the team, and this person was so good at it. I want to be just like them.
Was that something that you went with in your early teenage years in terms of like trying to fit in with people and feeling like you got to pretend to be somebody else and that kind of thing?
I think I was more of the like, I want everyone to like me, so I'll just do what I feel like, and I'll just be nice. Like, I didn't really have this whole like, oh yeah, watch me go drink with people, or oh, I need to hang out with these people. I was more of a nerdy person because like I knew. Like, I liked fashion. Not a lot of people like fashion because it was all Abercrombie and Fitch, and I was like, I don't like that look. You look Californian. We live in Kentucky, and I really don't care for this. And I wasn't like one of those kids that were just like, going off and trying to create babies. And now look at me, I got babies because I'm married. And I wasn't really one for drama, but I talked to a lot of people. I didn't rub people wrong, so I didn't have any enemies. But I guess I was attractive. I don't know. I had a lot of people asking me out. I'm like, oh, let's go on a date. And I even had one person joke ask me out. That backfired. And I was like,
Yeesh.
no, I don't want to go out with you. And I knew it was a joke anyway, so I told my parents. Next day, my parents are like, no, that that same day. They're like, that took a lot of courage for that young man to ask you to go to the dance. Tell him you're going to the dance or you're grounded. I'm like, that's not
Oh wait,
cool.
that happens because I've
Dang.
seen that kind of stuff in TV shows. Like your parents actually did that.
Yeah, my parents literally did that. And so I
Oh
went to the
mate.
guy and I'm like, hey, guess what? Looks like I'm going to the dance with you. Yay. And he's like, oh God. Like, and he's Korean. I remember he ducked in the corner and he's like, shibai, 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 which means fuck. So he was saying shark, shark, shark. And I'm like, yeah, congratulations. And he's like, so I didn't really mean it. I didn't think he would actually say yes. I'm like, well, guess we're going to the dance. He's like, I have plans that day, so why don't I just take you on a date? And yeah, we went on a date instead. And I can tell you, I tried to make the most of it. I don't like him. He was not the guy for me. I tried to be nice to him. Um, like we don't talk. It's okay. Um, but he's married with a girl. He's like a doctor in Michigan, USA, with 2 kids. And I'm like, that's good enough. Don't talk to me ever again. Don't bother me. We graduated. Like, thank you for liking me. Or like ridiculing me, but joke's on you, I guess. Like, people still find me attractive. I'm still the same person.
How cool would it have been if, like, he asked you out as a joke because he didn't even think you would say yes? Your parents made you go out with him, and then you lived happily ever after.
Oh my
That's
God.
that's the
Please,
TV
no.
version. That's
God.
the made for TV movie version.
Agreed. Agreed. That is like the fairy tale, like, oh, it's okay to find your sweetheart in high school because your parents forced you to say yes and you live happily ever after. No, it doesn't work that way. You don't have Bon Jovi playing in the background, you kiss at the dance, and then it pans out and you live happily ever after. No, this is real life. Life continues. You got to feel with the fallout afterwards because after the dance, you still have to go to school with them. And then if you break up, it's still awkward. And it's just like I only dated like one person in high school, like relationship dated. You can go on dates with people, that's dating. When you're in a relationship, that's boyfriend girlfriend. There's a difference. So, like, I only had one, and it was like, okay, that's good. I dated him because one, I thought he was cute at the time. Two, he was one of the only people to ever beat me in video games. So that says something. And when you're young and you have no bills over your head because your parents are paying for them, what do? You have plenty of time to do lots of things. Like some people would like to fornicate. Instead, I used my time to either A, watch anime, or B, play video games. Nothing's really changed. But, if you could beat me in video games, I think you're a winner.
It's a start. It's a start.
It was, because look, I had a job in video games. Like, I've worked for anime companies, like in cosplaying. We'll get into that later. But that being said, in high school, like, I didn't think I was like the most attractive chick, but apparently there were enough people that thought I was attractive, and I'm just looking back on it like, oh, I guess I didn't look that bad.
I mean, yeah, you looking.
That makes sense.
Yeah, okay, you looking.
Like, all right,
You're
cool.
like maybe like
Psychotic,
a
but shit.
four, and yeah, about 4.5. You're about 4.5.
Yeah, right. I'm like, I'm not that pretty. Go away. Like,
Nah,
why are you
I'm
talking
playing.
to me?
I'm
Let me
playing.
play my freaking video games. Different priorities, man. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh man, I found cosplaying. Oh, no, that's not true. I found, like, my mom put me through finishing courses like, oh yeah, you have to better yourself, learn to take care of your nails. This is the correct way of etiquette for eating. So I can do fine dining etiquette at fine dining restaurant without looking like a bumpkin. So do you can test me on that, okay?
Okay,
I
so you
know
know
how to
the
do it.
difference between a butter knife and a fish knife.
Oh, absolutely. I also know like which forks to use during which course. I know which placement you put your silverware in so that waiters do not take it. I know which time you're supposed to drink certain kind of drinks or how you are supposed to hold the goblet. Like I went through the whole 9 yards of that. And then they're like, okay, this is how you apply makeup. This is how you do your hair. Like, okay, do this. And then that helped launch me into understanding how to do modeling. So when I did get modeling jobs at school, I'm like, oh yeah, I was sick. And I didn't tell them I was modeling because, well, why? I don't need to impress these people, you know?
Yeah, I get
Good
that.
enough.
I get that. You know,
Yeah, but
I.
I would
Oh,
say
sorry.
in college, yeah, sorry, really quick. So TLDR, I try to be friends with everyone because like I had nothing else to gain from enemies. Like, why would I do that? So it just didn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, for
I'm
me
done.
in school, I'll say like I don't remember trying to impress people in that same sort of way as in Inside Out 2. I do remember not quite fitting in with a lot of people though, because I was very much an in-betweener for a lot of high school or a lot of secondary school as we used to call it back then. Now I say high school. But yeah, I was very much an in-betweener in that like I knew some of the cool kids, and I wasn't too dorky to be seen with the cool kids. But then I knew some of the dorky kids, and I wasn't too cool to be seen with the dorky kids either. So I kind of floated in between, I guess, social circles a little bit. Probably hung more with the nerdy dorky kids than the cool kids. When I think when you tally it all up, I probably spent more time with the dorky kids. But yeah, I don't remember necessarily trying to fit. I've definitely had times where I felt embarrassed, or I probably didn't. Maybe wasn't didn't do the thing that I wanted to do because I might have been embarrassed by it. In fact, I can remember a very, very early lesson I had about not being yourself in school when I was in primary school. And primary school, real quick, is like you have nursery, which is from 3 years old to 4 years old, and then primary school is from 4 years old to 11 years old ish. Anyway, but
Okay. So yeah. So what's before primary? What did you say it
nursery.
was?
So you have nursery school
Nursery.
at 3
So
years old to
nursery
4.
is pre-K. So that's pre-kindergarten. Then we have kindergarten. Then we have grade school. After grade school, we have the secondary, which is high school.
High school,
So
yeah,
just breaking it down. So
yeah.
you
So
talking about primary.
yeah, so it's about, I guess, the equivalent of your kindergarten or no, or elementary. I think, is that right? Yeah, but yeah, wait, when you're about 4 years
Well,
old, anyway. When you're about 4 years old.
when you're 4 years old, that's kindergarten or preschool, depending on how smart you are.
One of those then. It's yeah. But I remember like going into primary school, and we're getting lunch, and part of lunch was an apple. Now, in my house at this point, you don't really have a lot of experiences with other people. 'Cause, I mean, you go to nursery because we had nursery before that, but nursery you just kind of go there and you go home and you're not really there for very long. And quite frankly, you don't really remember much because it's so long ago and you're really young when you do it. But primary school is really when I guess your memories are sticking a bit more. So like a lot of my experiences at that point are pretty much just what I remember from being at home. And then at home, when you and with apples, you have an apple and you bite into it, right? As you would eat an apple.
As
But
you eat, yes.
yeah, you pick an apple, you wash it, you bite it, eat it, right? Um, Now I remember going into primary school, and we go to lunch, got an apple, and I'm looking around, right? And as you're eating your lunch, your regular lunch you eat with like knife and fork or spoon or whatever, right? And when it came to the apple, um, I started thinking, wait a minute, I can't eat this with my hands as we normally eat at home. That they might laugh at me. I might be embarrassed by this. It's embarrassing. People are gonna laugh at me if I just eat how I eat at home. So I got a spoon and stuck it into the apple and tried to eat this apple with a spoon, thinking that must be the normal way to eat apples. And you know what happened? People laughed at me for eating an apple with a spoon. So had I just ate it the same normal way as I've been eating apples before that, it wouldn't have been an issue. But because I tried to fit in and do what I thought was the less embarrassing thing, I just ended up embarrassing myself unnecessarily. So yeah, for me that was like kind of like a very, very early lesson of, just do what you're gonna do. just do what you're gonna do.
All
If
because of
people
an
laugh at
apple.
yeah, just do what you're gonna do. Just do what you do. Like people don't eat apples with spoons. Well, most people don't anyway. But if you do eat an apple with a spoon, then hey, that's you. I ain't mad at it. I'm just saying that had I just ate the apple in the normal way that I've been eating apples, nobody would have said nothing. But because I was too, I guess, anxious, right? Bring it back to Inside Out for a bit. But I guess I was too anxious thinking about all these different scenarios of people laughing at me because, you eat an apple with your hands. Oh, how embarrassing! How stupid are you? You eat apples with that's what I was thinking at the time. So I stuck a spoon in the apple and then got laughed at for eating an apple with a spoon. It was like, you know what?
Oh,
Just be yourself.
so
Just be
speaking about
yourself.
that, question, side note, do you eat a pizza with your hands
Of
or
course,
fork and knife?
eating a
I was going to
pizza
ask.
with a fork and knife, I feel like it's just disrespectful to the pizza. Quite frankly, like I'm
It's just so
sorry, not
strange,
sorry,
right?
but Wow,
I mean, I
that's.
do both, but I would prefer my hands.
I mean, things like pizza are to me they're not supposed to be eaten neatly because they're not really neat food. Like it's, you know, what I mean, it's not like rice. You know, I mean, even eating rice with your hands is
Whoa,
like
whoa, whoa, whoa,
I'm cool
whoa.
with.
Okay, you're in, no. Rice in the Philippines, you can totally use your hands.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So even eating river, it's fine. Like I've eaten rice with my hands, like it's fine. But because like it's loose and grains and stuff like that, okay, eating with a spoon is fine. Eat with your hands is fine. But like pizza, no, that's gotta be with your hands. You just gotta pick it up, let it drip, let it make a mess. You know, pick up the bits with your
It's
hands. All
gonna.
the that yeah, all of that. Yeah. So yeah,
Okay,
no,
I was just curious
yeah.
on how you do it.
Kebabs, hands as well. Chips, hands. Certain foods you just got to eat with your hands. You
What's
just
the
eat
other
with your
one?
hands.
Okay, have you ever ate a burger with fork and knife?
You know, I've tried that. I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it. I
It's
mean,
weird.
there's like really, really big burgers that you can get, like really tall burgers you can get, and they're difficult to hold and try and bite. I get that, but I do. I just lie it down and eat it that way. Like I don't care that it looks messy. Like I just lie it down and just bite. Just eat it off the table. Like I've no shame about that. I have no shame about
Oh,
that.
well, that's nice. So, I mean, when I was in high school, I can't really think of any like food things like that, but I can imagine.
Man, first,
Not
I'll
part
just
of
say
any
real
food
quick. Sorry,
fights.
just gonna say real quick. I feel like eating food with your hands is just better anyway. Just in general, like certainly 99% of foods here, I feel like you're better off eating with your hands. But yeah,
I
carry
can't
on.
really think of many where I'm like, I have to use a fork. Like salads, yes. Soup, definitely with a spoon.
You can
Ice
just drink
cream,
it. Just hold the bowl up to your mouth and just drink.
you could. Like, you can definitely do that. I'm trying to think. Is there something that I absolutely have to use a utensil? I don't know. I just feel I like using utensils, but if I can, I'll just use my hands. Like sushi is fun eating with your hands too.
Mm.
Just pop it in your mouth.
For the only, not even only, like I guess things like spaghetti, you kind of have to use a fork. But even spaghetti, like
Oh, yeah.
if you're willing to put up with a mess, you could definitely eat that with your hands. It'd be a
Well,
bit
then you can
slippery.
eat everything with your hands.
Yeah, it'd be a bit slippery, and you definitely make a big mess. Like, there's no way you're doing it any kind of like you. I mean, I don't mind messy foods, but you're making a mad mess if you're trying to eat spaghetti with your hands. But if you're okay with that, it can be done. But yeah, you probably want to use a knife and fork for spaghetti. I'd say, like, not knife and fork, sorry, a fork, just a fork.
Yeah, that one, just a fork. Like noodles in general, I imagine you need a fork. Like lasagna, I definitely think you need a fork.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. To like try to, yeah, 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 yeah. They probably use a fork for that. I mean, I guess you could
Hmm.
again, you could do it with your hands, but it'd just be probably a bit too messy with your hands. You probably
Like,
had it with more food on the
what's
table
that?
than in your mouth.
What's that pie? Not well, not shepherd's pie, but like a pie, a soup pie,
Mm.
like a chicken pot pie. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, I feel like you can, if it's like tart size, yes. If it's like actual pie size, like big, no.
yeah. You could, yeah. Small pies you could dip it, eat with your hands. Larger pies, yeah. As long as they're not too drippy, you could do eat with your hands. You could eat with your hands.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, most foods
So
I think better with your hands. If you can eat it with your hands, it's better with your hands. That's my that's my take.
that's
If
if
you
your
can eat
hands
it with
are
your hands,
clean. You're not
oh yeah,
gonna
wash your
eat
oh yeah,
like
wash your hands. Wash your hands, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wash your hands. Wash your hands. No, no dirtiness out here. None of that. None of that.
What about
But
broccoli on pizza? Just like inside out.
broccoli. Oh yeah. Oh, you know what? I don't mind broccoli. I don't know if I'd want it on my pizza though. Um, I don't know if I don't think I've had broccoli on a pizza to say if I like it or not. I probably. I mean, put it this way: I'll eat it. If you gave me a piece with broccoli on it, I will eat it. Like it will get finished. Like let's just be clear on that. It will get finished. But as to whether or not I'd actually enjoy eating it, I don't know. Like broccoli to me is like I eat it because it's you need to eat your vegetables, right? And it's an important part of being healthy, and make sure you get the right different nutrients and fibers and blah 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 blah. So I have no problem eating broccoli. But if I'm eating pizza, I probably want something that is just like fattening and high in like everything. Like, you know what I mean? Like high in calories, high in fat, high in
Yeah, you
just
want that
cheese
baby to be
and
savory and
right, you know what I mean? Just
delicious,
like meat,
dripping in oil.
chicken, spicy, all of that. And I mean, I guess you could like cut up a broccoli and mix it in there. Maybe I won't even notice. But if it's like a all thick, or if broccoli was like the main flavor of the topping, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I mean, again, I'll eat it, but I don't know if I'd enjoy it.
So what is like for me, I'll just break into this. I actually had a fettuccine Alfredo pizza when I went to Japan when I was in high school. What, like, have you had any like crazy flavors for
Uh,
pizza?
for pizza,
Yep.
not that I could think of right now. I don't think of anything crazy in terms of like what the typical Westerner would consider crazy anyway. I mean, I like pineapple on pizza. I know that's a big controversial thing, but I'm good with pineapple on pizza. Uh, but yeah, that's probably about as crazy as it gets for me when it comes to pizza. I would say that in terms of food in general, though, I have eaten snails. Recently I tried octopus. Uh,
Snails
uh,
is a no-go. I
yeah,
know for a fact I will not enjoy that.
you know
Like
what? It's actually quite
oysters,
nice.
clams, snails, and mussels, no go. I've tried clam and I've tried mussel, and I was like, wow, this is absolutely something I will never want to eat again. I've tried it and I will not enjoy this any more than I have now, which was very awful, aka my disgust factor went high. But no, that is not a texture I enjoy. I do not want that. And if someone's like,
Snails.
"Oh yeah, let's totally have that," I'm like, "No, no, I would rather not enjoy that. Thank you."
I mean, snails is interesting because like with snails, like I've had snails dry and I've had snails covered in butter, and when you have it dry, like yes, it's definitely kind of a weird texture, very chewy kind of texture to it. They don't really taste much of anything, like just kind of you just kind of chew it a little bit and you swallow and it's fine. But when you have it covered in butter, you can barely taste any of the snail at all. Like it's literally just like hot melted butter. That's
Ew,
all you really
just eat
taste.
hot melted butter. Don't eat a snail. Like,
That's pretty
no.
much it. Just hot melted butter, and there's snail is doused in that, and then you eat that, and
No.
it's not too bad. It's not too
You want to
bad.
know what's not too bad? My brother had deep fried butter at this like state fair, and he's like, "Wow, it felt really good to eat." And the next day he was so bad, and he's like, "My body feels like shit." I'm like, "Yeah,
Deep
because you had
fried
deep
butter.
fried butter." Yeah.
That sounds crazy to me. Deep fried. I mean, butter would just melt in the fryer, would it? Like, how's that?
Look, I'm not the one that made it. It exists. It's the thing. And there's like like deep fried cotton candy pickles. Like there are things out there that would never have imagined. And I'm just like, I don't think I have the guts to try that because my guts would probably like stop functioning.
I mean, I'll try it. I mean, why not? Right? I mean,
I mean, yeah,
not
I
not
could
as a
try
regular,
that, but there are
not as
certain
a
things
regular
that I will
diet
not
thing,
try.
but yeah, like that'd have to be like a once in a while type thing, not like an everyday eating deep fried butter. That's probably
Oh,
gonna
yeah, let
you're
me
probably
treat
dead in a
myself
week if
this
you
week
tried to
to
do
it, right?
that.
Oh, exactly. Not like, oh yeah, I'll treat myself to a Coca-Cola or oh, I'll treat myself to bubble tea this week. No, no, you don't do that with deep fried butter. You absolutely cannot.
All right, so with that, let's bring it back to Inside Out a little bit. So one of the things I liked about both the movies actually is their depiction of the mind of various mind states. Like in the first one, where they had the train of thoughts, and it's a train, that kind of thing. And the second one, they had the stream of consciousness, and it's a stream. or the sarcasm, which was being sarcastic, and it was just like this chasm opening up, and nobody knew where it was going to end because like sarcasm was just. So I really liked how they depicted those states in those movies. How did you feel about um their depiction of the mind and its various states?
Oh my God, did I love the brainstorm? That
Yeah,
one
oh
was
yeah,
so
that as well.
fun.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that. I really liked how they embodied it because you see these in different kinds of shows. Name I can't remember one, but there's been other shows that are like, oh yeah, this is the train of thought. Oh, one of them was in Shark Boy and Lava Girl. They're like, oh, brain freeze, brain stop, brainstorm, and it's like, you know, it's just interesting to see their take on it from the actual inside, and it's just really fun in that manner versus like, oh yeah, it's just a thought process, we're just going to write it down and there you go. Kind of like the hypothetical part when anxiety was like, oh, what if this happens? What if this happens? Come on, brain power. What about this? Let's do this. And it's like, oh, this is kind of unimaginative to have that, but it makes sense when it has that. Sarcasm was definitely another favorite. So I liked how those functions happened and like the pillars that create a person, like Family Island or the islands, quote unquote,
Oh
like
yeah, yeah,
Family
yeah.
Island and Friends Island. I really like that aspect because one would be bigger than the other kind of thing. So, like Field Hockey Island. What would your islands be?
Oof, man. I mean, yeah, I think there'd be well, I think we're all gonna have a family island. Whether you've got a good family or a bad family, we're all gonna have a family island of some kind. What else would there? Yeah, definitely be like a video game island, a movie island. I think. Not even I think. Yeah, both of those. What else? I don't know. Maybe. Probably a try this and that island, where you just keep trying different things all the time, see what sticks, or if indeed anything sticks. Uh, Hopefully there's a holiday island as well because I do want to travel more. So yeah, have to have a holiday island where you just got different places that go on vacation and abroad and that kind of thing. So hopefully that's an island that's either there or being built.
Right, because it doesn't have to be like fully functional, but it is part of like who yourself is.
Mm,
Because I would dare say that's part of mine. Like, my culture is still like both Philippine, Asian, and USA. So I would imagine like there's like a cultural aspect behind myself.
mm.
Um, Definitely like entertainment. So it's like both video games and anime would be combined into one because they're not necessarily separate, but they're both forms. Oh my God, speaking of that, how funny was it that they had a character like Cloud
Oh
Strife
yeah, yeah.
in
The guy he rolls and he can't do
like
nothing with
something
it.
Lance Longsword, was that his name?
Yeah, yeah. The video game character. Oh, but it was Lance. I'm sure it was Lance something.
Let me see. Lance Slash Blade. I
Lance.
lived for it. That was one of my favorite parts. I was like, oh my God. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm like, just Gus loves this character, of course. And then his like ultimate was him just rolling into a Metroid ball. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
how canon. Okay. And then I would definitely have a big family island because I love my family, especially my boys. I give them a lot of attention. And then my creativity island. I'm not sure how many
Mm.
islands needs to be there for a person, but
You
we'll
could probably
see.
have a lot of different islands. I mean, because if you think any one person, there's a lot of different things that make you who you are, right? And in the movies, the islands kind of represented maybe some of the I guess the bits that are a bit more the forefront to Riley. But ultimately, like, there's so many aspects to an individual as to the types of things you like, the type of things you don't like, the types of things, you might. you might like one day, but maybe not. You don't like another day, and the things that annoy you, the things that you love, and everything else, and all of that. So, like, I mean, I don't know. I don't think they specify in a movie that you can only have a certain amount of islands or anything. But I'd imagine, like, if we're saying the islands represent these core or these say aspects of a person, then to my mind at least, there could be potentially unlimited amount of islands that any one person can have. Just because you could have so many things that are interesting to you and important to you on different levels. Maybe there could be a day where you're really focused on maybe activism, right, and doing things to help your community and that kind of stuff. But then the next day, yeah, you just might want to play some video games and do that. Maybe the next day you want to try out that new burger joint down the road, and that's really important to you, and you just want to go to different coffee shops. You know what I mean? So I feel like there could be just
Yeah.
so many islands, and just like maybe on any particular day, one of those islands or maybe two of those islands are at or maybe more, even like the emotions, like like sometimes one emotion is going to be stronger than another emotion, but all those emotions make up who you are. I think similar with the islands, like there could be days where one island is maybe more stronger than the other islands, but ultimately all those islands are still a part of you.
Yeah, of course. Because I was just thinking, like, if all those islands are a part of you, and then they have all these canals of like old memories, and then they dump the memories, and it's just kind of like, well, eventually some of those islands are going to shrink and then crumble
Mm,
like they did in the first movie. So it's
yeah.
just like, well, what if you want to bring that back? What would that look like? Would that be just repaired? Because, like, imagine you pick up knitting, right? And then that's like a new big hobby, and then you drop it. And it's just like, it just slowly starts to crumble, and then you pick it back up. And then I feel like that's really dangerous for yourself, because then it's just like, does that spark joy? Does that make you happy? Or does it just become dormant? And then it's like, oh yeah, that's Oklahoma over there. I'm just kidding. Nothing wrong with Oklahoma. I'm just saying it's over there. No disrespect, but it's still there. You can go there if you want.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if if that's dangerous though. I mean, because I feel like you can have things that are really important to you at a point in your life, and then you move away from it, and then maybe some years later, maybe even long after you've forgotten about it, it could, something that reignites that in your life, and it comes back, and then it's really important to you again, and then maybe it's not so important after a little while, and then maybe years later it's important to you again. I don't know if that's I feel like that's kind of normal for a lot of people, where especially when it comes to like maybe musical instruments, like, or any kind of like hobby like that, where you might have done something as a kid. Maybe you learned to play piano as a kid, but it wasn't necessarily something that you're really that passionate about. Maybe you just learned it because, your parents kind of pushed you that way. But then as you got older, you kind of put it to the side and you never really bothered with it. And then, 15, 20 years later, where you haven't really thought about it, all of a sudden you just find yourself through some random circumstance stance walking past an old piano, in the street, and you just think, you know what? Let me just see what I can still do, and then maybe start tinkering around, and you're surprised about how much you even remember, and that kind of thing, and then maybe that sparks something, and now it's really important to you again for a little while, and then maybe it's not so more. So I don't know if that's dangerous. I think it's just kind of like how we operate with a lot of different things, that they'd be important to you for a little bit, and then maybe not so much, and I guess trying to find that thing that is important to you consistently for a long time is part of the, say, joys of life, or part of the
Or
things of life
like,
in our experiences of trying to find that thing.
yeah, kind of like how it does help create the sense of self, like you have those islands. Because it's like, can you imagine if one of those islands was, say, Blue's Clues, and then you grow up, and then it's like, okay, it's no longer Blue's Clues, it's Dora the Explorer. You grow up, now it's Bluey, and then you grow
Mm,
up a little bit more, and now you like Doctor Who. So it's just kind of like, eventually it'll just get replaced by something bigger.
mm.
Is also another thing. So then it's like, now that you're into Doctor Who, would you ever go back to Blue's Clues?
I mean,
Like that's the
maybe.
thought process of
Yeah.
that, you know.
Yeah. I
It's like,
mean,
oh, I won't get back into Blue's Clues. That's just too baby for me. Because there's
mm,
another side of that too, is like maturing. So it's
mm,
like certain things like instruments, yeah, you could always come back and pick it up potentially. Um, versus like entertainment kind of things of like, oh yeah, I did field hockey for so long until my accident, and then I lost my leg. I can't do field hockey anymore. Like, like what are you gonna do?
you know what? I just thought of something actually. Maybe that's what nostalgia represents, because nostalgia does show up a couple of times in the second movie. That it's not there very long, but she does show up a couple of times. So perhaps that's what that is. Like when something was really important to you at a point in your life, and then it isn't so much more, and then maybe years later, something reminds you of it, and that's that nostalgia that comes in for that period of time when you're like, oh, remember when I was really into this TV show, or really into or playing this instrument, and maybe that's the nostalgia kicking in where you're like, oh yeah, maybe watch a few episodes of I don't know, Blue's Clues, or Thundercats, or He Man, or terrible, or you know what I mean, whatever the show
Yeah,
was, and you kind of have
absolutely.
that nostalgia of rewatching it, and oh yeah, really, really liking it and enjoying it, but you're not necessarily getting into it like you used to when you was a kid. You just have that moment of remembering something that you really enjoyed, at a point in your life, and maybe just thinking about the times you had talking about it with your friends at school, and that kind of thing. But then once you've had that, yeah, you just kind of move on, because you got to be an adult, I guess. Pay
Yeah,
bills and go to
exactly.
work,
Like
and
your tastes change. Like
yeah.
someone can be like, "Oh, I love sour things," and then you grow up and you're like, "Oh God, I can't have another sour thing ever again." And like that leads me to another thing. Like, is nostalgia actually an emotion or is that something else? Because it's like I feel like that's just something that you remember. But is that really an
Hmm.
emotion for you to be nostalgic? And it's like if it makes you feel a certain way, yes, right? But would you
Yeah.
have considered before Inside Out 2, would you have considered that an emotion?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd consider it an emotion in and of itself. Of course, nostalgia can cause emotions. It could cause you to feel, joy, or maybe anger, depending on what you're nostalgic about and remembering all of the little details about it.
Or sad?
Or sad, yeah. But I guess nostalgia itself is really just, I don't know. I guess it's like that, just a thing that, because I guess it is kind of a feeling as well. You feel nostalgic at times, right? And if you're
Hmm.
feeling it, then does that make it an emotion? Um, because emotions are ultimately things that you feel on the inside, right? The films that they're not physical feelings, or I mean, I guess they can be interpreted in physical ways through heart palpitations and that kind of stuff. But fundamentally, the actual feeling itself is not a physical thing. It's just something that's going on and creates all these other stuff that goes on inside your body. So like you feel nostalgic, and you could feel, and I guess it's like just a thing that sparks it, whether it's something that you hear and it reminds you of something, or something that you smell even that reminds you of something, or see, or whatever. And then
Right.
you
And that's
get to that point. But yeah, if, I guess it's a feeling, maybe not quite an emotion, or maybe it's a little bit of
right.
different things. I don't know.
Because you can feel bored, but that is that an emotion? Because you feel embarrassed. And I mean, embarrassed I think is a good emotion to actually have, but that also gets into fear. So it's like, why are we
Hmm.
splitting hairs now? You know? So I don't know. It's like interesting how they're like splitting it more. So what's going to happen with those emotions, right? And it's weird because when we go into the minds of like Riley's parents, they have the core five, right? But we didn't see their anxiety or their like
Hmm.
embarrassment. Maybe they don't
Yeah.
have to deal with it because they're adults, but it would be
Well.
really interesting to get like a side movie along with Inside Out, like the parents and how they handle things.
Yeah, it's kind of
Just getting
interesting that.
meta now.
Yeah, because it's kind of interesting that when they go inside a parents' heads, like you just see those sort of those main ones, the the main ones that Riley has in the beginning, and you don't see any maybe more complex emotions, and that could be maybe they're just not there that day. or maybe they've learned to deal with them in better ways. You know, that kind of, they could mean that.
Or they
Or
bottled them
yeah,
up. Huh? Huh?
yeah,
They bottled them
or they
up.
bottle them up. Or it probably just means that the writers just didn't even think that far ahead. Really, that's what it probably is. The writers
Yeah,
just
they
didn't
probably
think that
just
far
didn't want
ahead.
to give that too much power
Yeah,
to the
but
parents and focus more on Riley.
but assuming that's not the case, yeah, it is interesting that you don't see more complex emotions, because as you get older, yeah, your emotions do get more complex. Like the difference between joy and happiness and uh, excitement, or sadness and depression. You know, embarrassment, disgust, envy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
on some level, you can get very kind of like what's the semantic? Is that the right word?
Yes.
Semantic.
Yeah. Hmm.
But you know, fundamentally, like when you're feeding these things, there are kind of slight differences in what they are, and they can mean different things to different people. How I describe sadness might be different to how you describe sadness. You know, but we're both feeling something, right? And we're both labeling this thing sadness. So like, yeah, I feel like your emotions do get more complicated. So like, you know, if there is an Inside Out 3, you know, Riley, what's it's 13 in Inside Out 2. So maybe by Inside Out 3, she's on, let's say 15, 16, that kind of age. And, you
Going
know,
to her
maybe,
first prom.
yeah,
Woo!
you know, going into that, maybe meeting her first real, having a first real boyfriend, or something like that. Or maybe even dealing with, you know, other feelings towards people in general, you know, and
Yeah, we don't know which
all of
way she
that.
sways.
Yeah.
Like, but
So
also it could. I mean, if we're going to speculate about Inside Out 3, if it does happen, like, we could also go into like collegiate testing because in the USA we have three tests that you take. No, I think it's two. Two tests that you take for college entry, university entry. And you have to get certain scores to get into certain colleges. Otherwise, you have to work your way into college, such as taking a community college to get into a university. And that's just a longer path, unless you just score much better. Either way, I mean, I just really hope that they would consider it Inside Out 3 with the success of the first two, which they were successful. I don't mind sequels. I really would like to see what the writers would come up with because not only did they have such all-around story for kids and adults, it really does strike like a coming of age, quote unquote, story,
hmm,
you know? So it would be interesting to see her develop like happiness from joy and like sadness into depression or even fear like working together with anxiety and embarrassment because like I feel like that's like the base level of it and it's like anger would really turn into something else because it's just like I think they touched on this in the first movie with anger being like hangry. I'm hungry and angry. It's oh look at this. It's a choo choo. It's okay now. But it's like interesting how anger really subsided his wrath in the second movie. So
yeah,
like it could really just turn into like frustration because that that's an emotion, right? Like being
yeah,
frustrated.
yeah, for
Like
sure,
that's I would
for
definitely
sure.
say that's like on the same level of like embarrassment because like it's just a secondary thing. So I don't know how far they want to take that, but
Yeah.
maybe they'll level up and evolve like Pokemon.
I mean,
Not really.
they could. They could, you know. I mean, I guess they haven't established a precedent for that in the movies just yet. But I mean, to my mind, it's not an impossible thing that your emotions can evolve, you know, as you get older, and especially as you are dealing with more complex things. And perhaps the reason why her parents have those same sort of core emotions is because at the time they're growing up, maybe they came up in simpler times, as the old folks like to say, right? Whereas Riley's coming up in at a time where, you know, things, let's be honest, things are a bit more complicated, I think, for kids these days. There's a lot in the world that they're dealing with at such a young age where, you know, when I was in school, we didn't have to worry about, social media and, I mean, of course, you had issues in terms of like popularity and people doing things because they thought they were getting popular. That's a thing that's always existed. Doing things for the clout has always existed, but to the level that it is now, where it's like, anything your whole kind of value is based on how many likes a picture gets, or or anything that you do or say could be recorded and used against you in 10 years when you've forgotten about it. That's the world that they're growing up in now. So I feel like, yeah, your emotions of that the kids are going through now, the things they're feeling, are far more intense than, people my age, what we went through. And certainly so by the time someone like Riley coming up in this sort of times, by the time she's, say, sort of 15, 16, going into her adult years, 18 and over, how she is, her sense herself, and how her emotions are helping her. And can joy still be relevant, or does joy need to evolve into something else to help her? Does anger need to evolve into something else? Does fear need to evolve into something else? Or is it a case of just different, more multiple emotions is working together or trying to work together? Because right now at the end of Inside Out 2, there was like I think 6, 7, maybe 10 different emotions, I think, but it's quite a lot by the end of it. Whereas, if there is the Inside Out 3, like, how many more are we talking about, and how does that all come together? And without going crazy, when you've got all these different thoughts and feelings going on at the same time, and every single one of them is valid, but how do you create a unison between these thoughts? So is it a case of having more emotions, or some emotions need to evolve? So yeah, I do think that's definitely an interesting path they could potentially take on a third movie, as to how do you reconcile everything as an adult in a healthy way, or as a young adult in a healthy way.
Yeah, and that's something too that I kind of like thought about. In the first movie at the end, like sadness touches that core memory and then it becomes a yellow blue with it. That was like the first time that they ever did that, because
Mm,
without joy you can't have sadness. Like, and it's like, okay, but we saw at the end, and like all these orbs now have multiple colors on them. But in Inside Out 2 at the beginning, and while they're going through Riley's brain, it's just like, wait, there's only core colors again. They're not mixing. So there's like this disruption between the two movies. Like there's only like one memory here or there that has like both. Like, how can I think it would be interesting if they could actually just work together at the same time to be both like disgusted and sad, you know what I mean? Like,
mm.
oh no, like I got covered in pig's blood and I'm sad that it happened to me. And then, Carrie. um
But it could also be kind of funny, though. I mean, depending on the situation, something like that could be disgusting. It could piss you off, and it could make you laugh in equal amounts, right? So, depending on how
oh
it
yeah,
happened.
yeah. Because, like, that's what happened to my friend Spencer. Like, my friend Spencer went on this vacation, it was really happy, and then all of a sudden, a bird pooped on him. Like, they were driving
Oof.
on a scooter and a
Yeah,
bird pooped on
had
him.
that.
And
Very.
someone else found it funny, but he was mad at the time and disgusted. So I think, like, they need to go into this idea of more memories being created, need to have more emotions on it, not create. I think that would help alleviate the problem of how many more emotions to introduce and get more actors
Mm,
involved, because like they've destroyed the console quite a bit,
yeah,
constantly, you know what I'm saying?
need a bigger console again. Oh, bloody hell, man!
It's like, okay, now we
These
both can
construction
work
workers
it
getting
at the same
paid.
time. Also, in the second movie, Mindy Kaling and Bill Hader did not reprise their roles, so they were switched.
Okay, I did not notice that actually. Who's Mindy Kaling playing?
She plays Disgust,
Okay,
and then Bill Hader is Fear.
no, that's a damn shame. I mean,
Yeah, I was
oh
a
well.
little
I guess I
disappointed
gave
with
the role to
that.
somebody else.
I mean, it's a character. You can take it or leave it, but I'm like, eh, it's Hollywood. It's
I
like
mean,
it's just a small role.
I ain't gonna lie. I didn't notice the swap. So, so I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess take that for what you will, right? So I didn't notice the swap. So,
Mindy, you don't have
mm,
enough star power. That's
so I'm
what he's
sorry.
saying.
I'm sorry, Mindy Kaling. I don't mean no disrespect, but yeah, I didn't notice the swap at all. But
That
then I'm
just
not.
means the new actress did so good.
That's what it means. Yes, we'll go with that. It means she done so good at doing your voice that I didn't notice. That's what that means.
That's fine.
But I mean, I think to be fair with voice actors though, like a lot of times when they get swapped over, unless you know it, at least for me anyway, unless I know about it, I probably don't notice the swap. I think a lot of times when they get changed, because I feel like they do. I mean, they create a voice for the character, and then I guess they replace it with somebody who can do that voice, maybe just as well, or close
Or
enough to the
close
point,
enough, you know.
you know. So like, I feel like a lot of times, unless you know about it prior, or you're looking into like the things in the movie database and comparing the credits. I don't know. That's what I feel. That's what I tend to feel anyway. Like a lot of times, if I'm just listening to it, most times I don't notice.
Mm. I mean, that's fair. There's such minor roles. In the first one, they had like probably 20 lines at the most, and I'm just like, did they really do that much? Which makes me kind of sad, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, because they don't really have too much to do. Like they have probably three screenings, and I don't know. But I'm just kind of like, oh, I think it's kind of sad when people get replaced in movies. That's all.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Like I mean, well, I guess it depends on why they got replaced, really. But generally speaking, yeah, it's kind of sad. Like when somebody like had a role and then they don't, that sucks. But then I guess it's a good thing for the person who gets that role, because in the day everybody's got bills to pay, so it's a good thing for whoever takes the role afterwards.
Hmm.
Actually, speaking of that, real quick, a little bit off topic, but since voice work has come up, and you mentioned that you've done some voice work recently as well, and and of course is video games and the actors strike, the voice actor strike and stuff like that. Like, as much as
Uh-huh.
I support the idea of like actors should get what they should get, like they should be treated fairly, they should be paid fairly, they should have safety regulation, all of that. I'm on board with all that stuff, right?
Okay.
At the same
Yep.
time, I do kind of feel like nobody really buys games for the voice actors, like, you know what I mean?
Um,
Like, I mean, I don't
yeah,
get
so it's a
you need,
different star power between that.
yeah,
Like, voice actors don't have like Tom Cruise star power. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
same with anime voice actors. There's not a lot of people that are like, oh, I have to. Some people are, but I would say it's few and far between. Because, like, if you really want notoriety and like people to love you, make the game, and then voice it yourself. Because more people know Toby Fox than like some of the like other
yes,
voice actors. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Or like people know Sakurai because he's the guy who made Smash happen. Like Masahiro Sakurai. But it's like I can probably tell you most people don't know who is the voice of or was the voice of Mario, Luigi, Wario, Waluigi for the longest time. And he just retired. Like that was his
yeah,
job for so
yeah.
long.
Charles
And
Marinette,
Marinette, yeah.
Marinette.
Yeah, and it's just like same with the Simpsons voice actors. Those characters are so iconic. But like that's not really like a good
Yeah, that's a pretty bad
thing to
example.
segue.
Actually.
Yeah, yeah,
That
like
ones are probably
people
quite
should
famous at this
know.
point. Yeah,
Yeah, like people should know.
yeah,
But like when it comes to video game characters, like you don't go and be like, "Oh my God, I have to play. I have to go get Final Fantasy VII because Lance Bass was Sephiroth." It's like
right.
that guy was in NSYNC. What the hell are you talking? Like Kingdom Hearts, right? Who plays Sora? Do you know?
I do not. I've never actually
Yeah,
played
it's
Kingdom
Haley
Hearts
Joel
as well.
Osment.
Oh, really?
Can
Okay,
you
I know
believe
that guy.
that?
Hmm.
Yeah, he's
Well, I don't
got
know him,
serious
but
star
yeah, I know
power,
of him.
Sixth Sense,
Hmm.
AI, right?
Yeah.
But it's just like, but no one's like, oh my God, I have to meet Haley Joel Osment, like because he's Sora. No one like people do care. Like I would definitely want to meet Mark Hamill. Not only is he like that Joker and such, but he's also Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
So it's like, who was it? I totally forget her name. She's got three names. She plays the role of Tifa. She did some roles back in the 90s, being like a early like teen heartthrob. Can't remember her name. But she was the first person to give Tifa a voice. No, she wasn't. That was an Airgees. Uh, God save the ring, I believe. But she took no, it's Mandy Moore. Mandy Moore took the role of Tifa, and no one's like, oh my God, I have to go get it because Mandy Moore, that singer actress chick, is like in that. So yeah, not a lot of people are like, I have to play the game because of voice acting, versus like people who are legit fans of the game will enjoy the voice work,
Yeah.
kind of like Baldur's Gate, right? Baldur's Gate 3. Everyone loves that because the voice actors did such a great job. Now the game characters are iconic, but not the actor themselves. And I'm not trying to undercut, voice actors' work. I have a few friends that are voice actors. I highly respect their work. They're cool people. Um, at the same time, it's just like, yeah, you gave birth to this character, you brought them to life, but um, it's just different.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's a thing where it's like, like I said, they should get paid properly, all of that. Like I'm on board with that. But there's a point where, you know, if you're making a game and you have voice acting in it, you need people who can do a great job. We all understand that. We all totally understand that. But people who can do a great job aren't limited to people who are in unions, you know. And
Agreed.
you could find so many people outside of the union that can do amazing voice work and probably won't charge as much. So I just kind of
Oh,
feel
oh,
like,
oh, oh, oh. Okay, I have to cut you off because this just brought it like it hit me in my brain. Cyberpunk 2077. People
yeah,
bought the shit out of the game because Keanu Reeves was in it.
okay, well that's maybe one example, but
That's
Keanu
that's the
Reeves is
only
Keanu
example I
Reeves.
got,
Yeah,
okay?
that's
That's
Keanu
the
Reeves.
only example I got because, at that time John Wick still pops off, come on.
Yeah,
And, he was there presenting it, I believe, and they're
yeah,
like,
he
"I
showed up in
love
one of the
you."
shows.
And he's like, "I love you too." No, I love you. And it's so wholesome. And then he became the internet, like he still is internet Jesus. Um, but just the trailer where it's like, wake up, we got a city to burn. Like, don't tell me. You can't tell me that didn't get you riled up. Hearing
It
Keanu
was
Reeves
pretty
in
cool.
cyberpunk
It was pretty
dystopian
cool.
future, that sold it. That was that was it. That sold it.
It was pretty cool. But also, I mean, Cyberpunk was also by CD Projekt Red, who just come off of The Witcher 3, and that had a massive high. So there's always going to be hype around that game, just anyway. You know what I mean? Like that was never going to be a.
But it
Uh,
pushed it more.
oh yeah, I think definitely like when that trailer popped, like the fact that it sold so well, even though it was a madly broken game on release. It
Yeah.
definitely says something towards the amount of hype they're able to generate, off of the Witcher 3, off of the trailer with Keanu Reeves. So yeah, that's maybe an example of where an actor sold a video game, or at the very least pushed a video game over what it might have done without him. So yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, he wasn't really the main character either. Like, I think he was such a
Nah.
tertiary side character.
He's in it
Like,
quite a bit, actually. He is in the game quite a bit, but no, he's not the main character. But he does
yeah.
show up quite a bit throughout the game, so you do get quite a bit of Keanu Reeves as you play the game.
Well, I didn't play it. I would like to eventually,
Ah,
but
worth playing, worth
family
playing.
first. Family
Oh, indeed.
Island first.
Indeed. Family Island. Take care of Family Island, then go to Video Game Island. But
Oh
yeah, and I do,
yeah. No.
do a big respect to voice actors, whether you're in movies or video games, TV shows. I know it's hard work. I'm not trying to say that, but also
Oh,
just kind of feel
absolutely.
like, you know, I don't know. It just kind of feels like there's a it's a losing battle on some regards, but maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully, I'm wrong. Hopefully, I'm wrong.
Do you have
Um,
any favorite voice actors?
yeah, I guess I have a few. Let's see. Tara Strong,
Oh,
who
yes.
did the voice of
Timmy
Bubbles
Turner.
in. Oh yeah, that too. She has a lot of voices,
Sorry,
but
I just threw it out.
um, Bubbles from Powerpuff Girls is my main reference for Tara Strong. Um,
Let's see
who
what else you
else?
know about Tara Strong. Do you know? I have like three lined up.
Let's see. So yeah, Bubbles. She was Ben 10. Um, she was Harley Quinn in
Yep.
the Arkham games. She also was in a game called Killer 7 from on the GameCube. She played one of the characters in Killer 7. I forget the name of the
Yeah,
character.
that's a Suda 51 game.
That yeah,
Same
that
people
one.
who made No More Heroes.
Yes, that's the one. That's the one. Who else?
She's Princess. No, she is Twilight Sparkle in My Little Pony. Friendship is magic.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that one yet.
How dare you? You have insulted my honor, and I need to be reimbursed for that. I'm just kidding. It's like
I'll look it
once you
up.
get into My Little Pony, you're stuck. Like I gave it a shot just to try it, and it's so wholesome and like warm and welcoming. It's dangerous.
My Little Pony. Okay, well, maybe that be a future episode of the podcast as well. It just might. It just might. I
It's
have
like
to
eight
brush up on my My
seasons.
Little
I
Pony.
really don't think you'll
Uh,
be able to get that done.
wait, how many seasons?
It's like eight.
8. Okay, how many
Eight
episodes per
with a
season?
movie.
Okay,
What?
but they're not long though. Like, I mean, they're got to be like what 20-minute
They're 30
episodes or something.
minutes, like
30-minute
27
episodes.
minute. Yeah.
How many episodes though? How many episodes per
There's I
season?
thought there's like 12 to 24,
12.
I
Oh,
think.
that's quite a lot
Because
still,
like they
actually.
break it in sections, I thought.
Yeah, that's
But
quite
they're
a bit.
good. Oh my God. Tara Strong is so good.
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. But 24 episodes, 8 seasons. That's quite a bit. But
Something
I
like
might.
that.
I might. I'm not saying no.
It is
I
part of
might.
geek culture. Bronies, unite in the comments,
Yeah,
please.
bronies and ponies. Is
My
that
favorite is
right?
Princess
Bronies and ponies.
Celeste. Yeah. Bronies
Who's
and
your
Ponies, new podcast. Woo.
Who's your favorite voice actor?
Mine is Christina V. Um, she recently did this voice for what the fuck? Um, Hell of a Boss, and her name is Verasica Mayday. She is also the voice of Marinette in Miraculous Ladybug. Oh my God. I'm trying to think of what else she does. She has a voice in Belle. She's like a singer. She's got an amazing voice. She is Ray from Sailor Moon. She's Sailor Mars. Um, let's see. Now I just gotta look her up.
She's in Resident
Christina
Evil.
V. She's done a lot. Christina V is what else has she done? Excuse me.
Yeah, I've got a look
Oh,
right
she's
now. K-On!
Homura in Madoka Magica. That's right. I forgot. Hawk and Seven
Devilman
Deadly
Crybaby.
Sins.
Ugh. I don't like her.
Did you watch that?
That was terrible. That
Yeah, the
sucked so
original,
bad.
like the
If
the
she was in
early
that,
90s
then
one is so much better.
yeah, I don't like her. I don't like her if she was in that. No,
That's
boo for
not fair.
Christina
You
V.
can't blame someone for taking on a job.
No, I'm playing. But yeah, no,
Okay.
that's pretty. I actually liked. I don't know if you ever saw the original Devilman though. Like the original from like I think it was like 1980s, maybe 90s. I don't remember, but the
It's
original
early 90s.
Devilman was excellent. That was so good. It was like 2 parts as well, and they were just both really good, especially the first one. But yeah,
It's super
Crybaby just.
gory.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It was mad. Like they
Like
had like talons getting
early
ripped on people,
anime
and
was just so different.
but
Not
yeah,
not some of this
Crybaby,
stuff.
not
Not
so
this
much.
let's see. She is also in Seven Deadly Sins. Apparent. Oh, she's Killua in Hunter x Hunter. That's right. I totally forgot that. And Dark. Have you watched Konosuba? Have you ever heard of God's wonderful blessing of this world. It's called, for
Uh,
short, it's called Konosuba.
I don't believe I've ever heard of that.
Okay, well, that one, she plays like this knight, like a very rich knight who is like into pain. She's like, "What are you gonna do to me? Oh my God, I'm getting so crazy thinking about it. What are you gonna do with my bath water?" And she like just passes out because she's like so hot-headed. It's so funny. Um, but yeah, she's one of my favorites. Then, of course, like I have my friends that are voice actors, but I feel like that's cheating. If you have friends that are actual voice actors and you can't say that they're your favorite, isn't that mean? Like, that's not
I
nice.
mean, they could still be your
That's cheating,
favorites.
right?
Nah, they could still be your
Like,
favorites. Unless you're just saying that because they're your friends and they might be listening in and like, hey, you didn't say I was your favorite. I'm not going to invite you
how
to my
could you?
party. Yeah, I'm not going to invite you to
Well, they can't.
my.
I live in Denmark now, I don't live in LA.
I don't have to worry about it. Then you can say what you want. You can say what you want.
Okay. Well, anyways, there was, okay, okay. This one hurts a little. Come out nostalgia. So there was this one voice actor. Actually wanted to meet him because I thought he did a phenomenal job. He was an up and coming kind of quote unquote voice actor. Started like maybe 5 years ago, something along those lines. So he's fairly new to the scene of like voice acting and such, quote unquote. He died of prostate cancer, and his name was Billy Kometz. And he was so good at voice acting. I never really was like, man, this guy's good. Because you have Johnny on Bosch doing all like the shonen protagonists. And it's like, okay, yeah, there's this guy. Like, is there someone else now? I'm like, not no offense to Mr. Bosch, like you're a very cool man. But I'm like, I wouldn't mind some variety in the voice. And so Billy Kometz comes out as Jojo, Jotaro in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and that was a big
Yeah.
deal. And then he was also in Shield Hero. He was now Fumi, the lead role again, and he was also White Blood Cell in what is this called? Cells at Work, the first season, not Code Black. And oh my God, that was like the first time I actually heard him perform and do his job as a voice actor was at Cells at Work. I'm like, who is this guy? Wow, is he good? And I was like, oh my gosh, like you are amazing. Wow. And then like 2 years ago or so, he died. And I was like, oh my God, this is
Mm,
really heartbreaking. You had so much promise. Because I was like, is he
yeah.
going to reprise his roles? He was also in Three Houses. So he was in Fire Emblem. I forget who he was. Let me see. I'm gonna look it up really quick because he deserves that much. Yeah, he died in 2022. That's heartbreaking. He was Ferdinand von Aegir in Fire Emblem. So
Fire Emblem. Oh yeah, yeah. I know Fire Emblem. The was it the
Three
Nintendo
Houses.
games? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But unfortunately, he passed on. And the few roles that I know him for, I thought he did amazing. So, little sad.
Yeah.
Little sad Mel Blanc, of course, father
Rest
of
in
voices.
peace to Billy Kemetz, 87 to 22. He's only 35 years old. He's a young dude.
Yeah,
Rest
he's
in
my age.
peace. Oof.
You
Ah,
gotta strike while you can.
well,
Life.
indeed. Life can be short and sometimes even shorter than you think. Uh,
hmm But
all
look at
right.
us reporting a podcast, getting out that nostalgia, put that back away
Well,
and
yeah,
play
that's the
that.
nostalgia coming. Well, not quite, but yeah, maybe a little bit, maybe a little bit. Well, sadness, I guess, coming through for Billy Kometson is passing. That's an emotion that represented in the movies, and sadness being a very important emotion in the first movie that actually helps Riley to be happy that Joy didn't even realize you see you saying before you need one to fill the other. Like if you don't really know sadness, you can't really know happiness and joy. So like sadness was quite a pivotal emotion in the first movie without realizing. And I think what they did with that though was really interesting, really cool because You could be, you always hear about people talk about be positive, be positive, be positive, and that's all great and everything, but it kind of ignores that you do need to allow yourself to feel sad. To be positive, you need to delve into the negative at times, and it's really just about trying to understand that all these emotions, like I was saying before, these emotions serve a purpose and they're all trying to do something, and something like sadness helps you feel that pain, helps you understand it, and then once you do that, you're able to move on.
Well,
But
some are
joy,
able to move on.
well,
Not
hopefully you're
everyone can
able
move
to
on.
move on. Hopefully able to move
Yes.
on. But yeah, Joy didn't understand that, and Joy was just like, "Oh, if it's not happy, throw it away. If it's not happy, throw it away." But that kind of positivity doesn't really help, and just creates a delusional state in the end of who you are and how the world operates, and how things go and how other people are. If you're just so, because yeah, you want to see the good in people, of course. That's not a bad thing to try to look for the good in people, but you also have to understand that it's not always that way. And if you're not allowing yourself to understand that or to feel that, it's just detrimental in the end. So yeah,
Yeah, of
sadness is
course.
a really important emotion to allow yourself to feel.
Don't you think it's kind of interesting though? Like, of course, you're gonna have joy and sadness first, and joy was first, but she came with blue hair. And I was watching this a, a short from Pixar on like why does Joy have blue hair? And they're like, well, we went back and forth. Do we really just want her to be nothing but constant yellow? That's a bit aggressive on screen. It might not read well. So, like, they were like, we should give her some interesting colors so that way it just emulates more. And then, you get sadness, which is like the first true, like, personal color. And then, she's all blue. Joy has blue hair. So it's like even joy can feel sadness. So it's interesting how joy gave birth to sadness in a sense. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, that's really interesting. I didn't even think of it like that, but yeah, that it does make sense. It does
Yeah,
make
because
sense. Yeah.
when the baby's like, not baby, but when she first starts to evolve, like you see this ball of light and that's joy. And then sooner or later, joy gets joined by sadness. So she's kind of born from sadness. So it's like, oh, I'm hungry. That's not, that makes you sad that you're hungry. It can make you angry that you're
Yeah,
hungry.
yeah. And once you got some food in your belly, you can feel joy again. Get some
Exactly.
nice,
Like,
good food
oh,
in your
sweet,
belly.
sweet. Hmm. I mean, my baby's got food in his belly. He just
Is he
doesn't want to be
happy?
put down. He'll
Oh,
scream. Yeah, he's happy. You heard him talking a little bit.
oh, that's good. He's enjoying the food.
Oh yes, he's so big and so heavy, and that's why like Inside Out really hits hard now. Because now that I have kids, I can slowly watch them come into their emotions. Oh, blah.
How do you think you would have felt about Inside Out had you watched it before having kids?
Oh, well, I did watch it before having kids, and it still made me sad.
Oh, okay. Okay, so in that case, what was your feelings when you watched it for the first time before having kids? And then how did that change after watching it when you do have kids?
So, before I had kids and I watched the movie, it was like, oh wow, this is a real coming of age. I can really see like I remember because I was working at Disney when the movie came out. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting. Like, okay, this version of us that has this console that this is how things get dictated. Okay, that's cute. And it's like, yeah, I could see that. I could see being disgusted and all those things. I took it more at a surface level, and then once it got to that point of like, oh, I'm going to run away from home, it connected to me personally because at a certain point I did leave home. Surprise! Celeste says live life. Um,
Wow, indeed.
and it wasn't against my parents like in such a bad way that it was like family abuse. No, um, I was like, I'm gonna grow up this way. I'm leaving. I'm doing it my way. And my parents are like, I mean, it's a whole nother topic. Anyways, like I just related to that story of like, I need this for myself. I'm gonna find a way to do it. And then I came back home sad and crying, and it's just like, no, this is where I'm safe. This is what I needed. I needed my family to be here for with me, and I can grow better this way. And I really resonated with that. And I'm like, and it made me cry a lot because I'm like, I see myself in that movie, but later in my own life. So it's like pretty sad. Um, but I'm like, I can imagine that there's lots of women out there that relate to this or kids that might relate to it because of like family issues and just being scared. Uh-oh. Oh, I see. So, hello, why are you beeping? Excuse you. That's rude. I'm talking.
Was that your phone or
Is that
something?
no?
Or
No, it's my freezer. Oh, it's
might
still
be
not
open.
closed yet. Yeah. I thought I just closed it properly.
Yeesh.
Let me see.
Better close that before the food goes all rotten.
Well, I'm working on it. Should be okay now. Is that it? Let's see. All right, I'm gonna have to put my baby down and figure this out while we're talking.
All right.
So,
Okay. All right. While you do that, I'll rap for a little bit then. But yeah, that's I mean that's interesting in terms of like that connection. And I think like the depiction that they had of her wanting to run away and that feeling of, well, she almost did run away really. I mean, I haven't. I have thought about that as a child. Like there's certain times where I thought I'm just going to run away, and that kind of thing. But I guess I've never done it in any kind of serious way. But yeah, I can certainly understand how in this movie where she moves to another city, she's missing her friends, things aren't going well. She's all that. I guess that feeling of like nobody understands what's going on, or people don't want to understand what's going on, or and everything was good when they were in their hometown, and like I just need to go back there because that's where all the good things are, you know. I could definitely understand that thought process. Though of course, when you think things through, like you might realize that, well, how you gonna live in this place because you ain't got no job, you ain't got no place to stay. Like, how you gonna eat? You know what I mean? Like, you can't think it through. But as a child, you know, logic like that doesn't come into play. In fact, logic actually, I think, could be another interesting emotion. Or logic's not really an emotion, I suppose, in the end. But I think logic is certainly another interesting thing they could possibly include for a potential third movie, because my kind of thoughts on that is that between say emotions and logic, humans are naturally more emotional, but we often try to be logical, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But I do feel like it's a good idea to have a balance between being emotional and being logical, because if you're completely logical, you'll make bad choices. But if you're completely emotional, you'll make bad choices. So that's how I kind of feel about it. So like there's always that balance between trying to do what's logically the best thing to do, but also understanding that it's not always about the logical thing, and sometimes you need to consider the feelings as well. How do you actually feel about it? How do other people feel about it? Sometimes the best thing for you to do might not necessarily be the best thing for you to do, like, and that kind of thing. So I think that'd be an interesting area to explore for a potential third movie, as well as as that comes in. But with the first movie and the whole kind of running away thing, it's like, yeah, I think I could understand that, how it was depicted in the movie, and I'm sure like loads of people have similar kind of feelings at that age as well, for not necessarily the same reason, but for just
okay,
various things.
that was not supposed to happen.
Are we good? Okay, maybe not. All right. Something happened.
No, I'm trying to figure this out. I
Oh,
don't
it's still
know
beeping.
what's wrong with the freezer. It and then I was trying to take out one of the shelves, and then it just kind of all fell. I gotta figure that out. Bowser, it's
Yeesh.
okay. Shh, shh, stop. Good boy, good boy. And the loud scare, like the loud, scared my kid. I'm
Oh,
not sure why so many things have to just go wrong. There's my anger. But another thing too would be like, how does common sense work? Because like not a lot of people have common sense. I was just thinking about what you were saying
hmm.
with that.
Common sense ain't so
Okay.
common no more. Yeah.
I know, right? Let me see. Oh, thank God this wasn't. This is like glass, and it could have shattered, but it didn't. Let me see if I can figure this out. If I just take everything out of the freezer. I don't know what's going on, man. No clue. But I gotta figure this out because it's making beeps. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
Means something
it's a little
wrong.
weird. Well, yes, maybe.
Something real
Not sure
wrong.
what. I'll figure it out. But yeah, like, I wonder if there's a way for them to like include like common sense and logic in that way, like in the next movies.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hope so. I mean, not that they have to, of course, but yeah, I feel like that would be a good thing to bring in. But I don't know, maybe, especially when it comes to logic, that might be something. I guess it depends on what age they're going with for Riley in the next movie. Like if they're going for like sort of late teens kind of age, like say 16, 17 kind of age, 18 kind of age, then maybe not so much logic. Because even though, of course, you can be logical at that age, I ain't saying that. But I feel like logic really comes into play, you know, when you get into your 25s and older kind of age, when you start getting to your adult years, when you're working more because like you got to pay your bills, you got to have a job, you got to do things for money and that kind of stuff. But at the same time, you might have dreams you want to pursue. You might have goals you're trying to do. You might have hobbies you want to do, but none of those things are paying the bills right now. So I feel like when you get into your sort of 25 and upwards years is when you really start having to ask yourself questions like, do I do this thing that's going to pay my bills, even though it's not really what I want to be doing? I don't necessarily hate it, but it's just not what I really want to be doing. Or do I do this other thing that isn't bringing so much money in, but I enjoy doing it. I'm passionate about it. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, there's that possibility I can turn it into a career. There's no guarantee you can turn it into a career. In fact, turn it into a career is an extreme improbability in a lot of cases, right? But it's that possibility that if you just work harder and commit some time to it, you just might be able to turn it into a fruitful career. But you can't do that if you're working full time and you gotta pay your bills and you gotta take care of your dog, or you gotta take care of your kids, or you gotta take care of your mom, or you gotta take care of this and you gotta take care of that, and people need you for this and people need you for
Or
that, and
people need you to fix the freezer
or fix the
because it's still
freezer,
beeping. No
right?
clue. Or choking on a piece of popcorn.
So yeah, I feel like logic comes into it in that part of your life. Really comes into it in that part of your life when you really kind of have to decide what's the logical thing. Of course, would be to stick with your job and stick with the thing that pays the bills and stick with the thing that gets you through the day and everything else. But the emotional thing would be to follow your dreams and follow your passions. But what's the real answer? What's the real correct answer? You don't know, right? You really just do not know. It might be best to be logical. It might be best to be emotional. It might be best to find a combination of the two. You just don't know. You really just have to take a leap of faith and pick one and hope that you make the best choice. And that's all you can do when it's like that. Just pick one, take a leap of faith and hope that you're making the best choice some way, somehow, even if it doesn't feel like it, because most likely it won't feel like it. If you follow your passions and do the thing that you're really passionate about, you're gonna feel like you made the wrong choice when those bills come, when that rent is due. You're gonna feel like, man, why did I do this? What was I thinking? Why did I quit my job? Why did I do this? Why did I do that? You're gonna feel like that. But for all you know, £1 billion could be just right around the corner. You just don't
No,
know,
I mean,
you
it's
know?
all about, yeah, it's definitely about like living, right? Because one of the things in life is to experience things. You're not going to get anywhere if you're too afraid to try things. Like
Yes.
me, I'm trying to fix a freezer. I'm not a person that knows how to do that, but I'm trying to figure out if there's a button or something that I can fix.
There might be a
And now
reset
I
button
had to look
somewhere.
online. I could turn it just off, but I don't want it.
Yeah, that might ruin your food actually.
Yeah,
That if you just turn it off, you
I'm
might
not
have
sure
rotten
what to
food for
do.
for a bit. We don't
Yeah,
want to
I
ruin
just took
food.
out the
We
food
don't want to
and
ruin
the
food.
drawers, so it wasn't the drawers. Let me see. Maybe there's
It
something else
might
I
be
can
just like it's
figure out.
overheated and it needs to cool down. Because I think so. If the freeze was open, the temperature rises and then it starts beeping sometimes. And then we shut the freezer. Although it's shut, it hasn't got down to its operating temperature yet. So it could be just
Oh,
wait
that
until it
makes
gets
sense.
down to its temperature before it stops beeping. I don't know. I'm just guessing based on what I know about fridges and freezers.
Oh, well,
But
I mean, it was slightly ajar, which I'm like, okay. So I guess I could see what happens from there. Um, I'll put these shelves in after it's done, but yeah, it definitely started melting a little bit because there's like moisture on these. Like obviously it's cold, so there's going to be moisture.
yeah,
But it's officially closed now. So
okay. Does it have a temperature reading on your freezer? Like, does it have like
yeah,
something on the
it's
front that tells you
minus
what the temperature
11
is?
Celsius.
Okay. And what's it supposed to be?
Mine is 16 now because I pushed up. So maybe
Wait, so it's colder now.
I'm trying to make it colder.
Okay. Right.
Okay, I
Oh, you
just
can
turned off
actually
the
set the temperature
alarm.
on.
Yeah,
Okay. You can actually set the temperature.
so
Okay, I see. I see.
yes, it should be
Yeah.
okay now. I
Cool.
just turned off the alarm. It's completely closed. Maybe that's all I need to
Yeah.
know, but I'm
That
gonna
could have
look it
been
up
it.
later.
I guess. I
Like,
guess you'll
how
know in an
easy it
hour or
would have
two.
been. Oh my goodness, that's so ridiculous. Okay, back on it while you're
All right.
doing your mini cover. So it would be really nice if people understood like common sense kind of things. It's like, oh, why isn't this common? You would imagine that it is. Like, oh, like you should throw your trash in a waste receptacle, right? Like a trash bin, or hold on to it until you find one. Don't just litter. It's common sense. If you want to live in a beautiful area, don't litter in it, you know, common
Oh,
sense.
mate. Yeah,
Okay,
I see
if
that. I see that so much. Eesh, yes. Yeah. But yes. Yeah.
yeah,
You're right.
like if you don't want like if you don't want someone to sneeze on you, maybe like don't like okay, if you don't like it when someone sneezes on you, don't sneeze on someone else in retaliation. You know what I'm saying? Because like just because one person is littering doesn't mean that you should too. It just
Yeah.
shows that that person has no class, does not respect the place that they live in, and they don't mind being a dumpster, you know? So it's like, okay, well, I don't want to be associated with you because you don't have common courtesy or like common sense. Like we have trash cans for a reason. Like, littering is not cool. And it's like, oh, well, we have street cleaners anyway. It's like, yeah, because of people like you. And it's like, if you just did your like due diligence as a civil servant, like, a person who lives in society, we wouldn't have this problem. But no, because some people are just like, yeah, someone else can clean it up for me. It's like, no, you're just a dirty person. Like, what's next? You're gonna complain about like, oh, I don't have enough money to get my nails did, or I don't have enough money to buy these shoes. It's like, I don't know. Maybe if you were just making better decisions, you would. Also, on top of it, like just inflation sucks, and people and like limited edition stuff is expensive, or like name brands. You know, don't
Mm.
need to, but I would. I'm slightly a hypocrite because I love buying shoes and I don't need to. I definitely do not try to sneeze on my children, but if I'm holding them and then they want to swerve their head in the way, that is not
Whoops.
something I can help.
Sorry.
I know, right? No, it was so sad. So, there's one time I was actually trying to say bye to my husband, having him go to work. And instead of like sneezing on him, I turned my head to the right. And on the right side, before I could see, and I sneezed. I sneezed on my dog Bowser, and I
Hey.
felt so bad. Like, how was I supposed to know that he was there? Because, when you close your eyes to sneeze, like, that's what happens.
Well, the good news
So,
is dogs can't catch human diseases. Well, I don't think they
but we
can.
can catch rabies.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
We can catch their worms.
But they can't catch like your cold.
No,
Or
they
I don't think
can't.
they can. They can't, can they? So
No.
it should be alright. It should be
You know
alright.
how messed up that would be if we had to give a dog cold medicine?
Yeah, they probably have different kind of cold medicine for dogs though, like pedigree gold cold. I know Panadol. I know pedigree Panadol. I don't know.
Pedigree aspirin.
Yeah, Lemsip for
Probably. I
dogs.
know that. Ow. I know that they have like things for that, so we'll see.
I
It's
mean, dogs.
cute.
I think dogs
But
actually
yeah,
can get a cold. I just don't think it. But yeah, they just can't get it from people. That's how I'm gonna say anyway. I might be
they
wrong.
have
I don't have
something
a dog.
different. Yeah. I have dogs. I haven't really seen them get colds before. I've
They
seen
can
them with
sneeze
low
though, right?
energy. Huh?
They can sneeze. Like dogs can sneeze.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm.
They can definitely have allergies. We learned that from Bowser. Like, him with allergies, it sucks. But,
Yeesh.
love my dogs. On top of that, I wish like we could see what a dog's mind would be like,
Yeah, they
inside
showed a
out.
bit of that in and out actually, where at the end during the
Fun.
credits, where they show the dog and it's just like barking or something, and then they show the cat and the cat's just like just bored. They were just like lazing around, just bored. So they
Oh yeah.
they showed a little bit of that.
Oh,
I thought that was funny.
I totally forgot about that. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. But anyways, it's like yeah, Inside Out. Your overall thoughts, because I pushed you to watch this one. What did you think?
I mean, my overall thoughts is that I liked it. I saw the first one maybe some years back. The second one I just watched recently. And yeah, no, I really liked what they did with it. I mean, I think I've said this before about Disney in general that I feel like they do a really good job of making movies that on the surface can be just, fun movies for kids, but they could also be, really deep and intricate, multi-layered for adults. And it makes sense that they make films of that because, a lot of parents would take their kids to the cinema to watch these films. So on one hand, you got a kid watching it thinking, "Oh, this is so funny and cool and whatever." And maybe that's all they think about it. But then the grown-ups in the audience be like, "Oh, yeah, that's really deep and interesting and explain and could offer an explanation as to why I might feel certain things or why I might have done certain stuff." And even though it's not a scientific explanation of the brain and feelings, right? But it's just kind of a look at emotions and just a fun way of how emotions interact, but also a serious look at why we might need to maybe take a step back, why we might need to allow ourselves to be on our own for a little bit, or why we might need to ask for help, or and that whole thing. So yeah, I just felt like overall I really really liked both those films. I just really like what they did with it, and I think especially now in a world where mental health is talked about a lot more, films like that I think can go a long way to helping people who are maybe a bit more, say, less inclined to talk about certain things, or if you are more inclined to talk about your mental health. I think it still offers some kind of help in a way of trying to, because I think we all struggle when it comes to explaining how we feel, and something like this can offer an interesting way of being able to just explain your own feelings about joy and sadness and anger and fear and everything else. So yeah, I really like what they did with this movie. How
That's
about you?
nice.
What's your
Yeah.
overall thoughts?
Oh my God. So I totally forgot to tell you, like, finish my topic before my freezer decided to beep at me. Um, so after having kids and watching Inside Out, it
Oh
hit
yeah, yeah,
even
yeah, yeah.
harder
We'll talk
because,
about that. Yeah, my bad.
yeah, sorry about that. No, 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 it's my freezer. Like, we should beat that person up. No, I'm just kidding. Um, Yeah, so like it was just really different because like now I'm a parent, it's like, oh my goodness, my child is gonna have like these tribulations of like, oh, how am I gonna process this emotion? Now it's like, oh, I don't like this. Oh, I'm just gonna be angry. Like, I don't know how to feel. Like, I'm in a new environment. Am I safe with this environment? I'm like, oh my God, I'm a parent and they're gonna deal with this. And it's like, if it hit in a different manner as opposed to me relating to Riley. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to see my child go through the same things, but not hopefully how I did it. And now that I have two kids, it's going to suck because I have to do it twice.
Yeah, you're gonna have to
But
prepare
I,
yourself for the boys'
yeah,
version of
cause,
puberty. Get those
yeah,
speeches ready.
exactly.
Get those speeches ready.
Eh, oh no, that's dad's issue. That's dad's thing. And the other part too is like Bing Bong in the first one, that didn't make
Oh
me
yeah.
sad. But it's just like, but that's a coming of age thing. You're not going to love Elmo from Sesame Street forever, like the same way you did as a kid. Like I still respect the
Mm,
Muppet Elmo because not only is that someone creating that character and making that voice, but there's also someone puppeteering him. So it's not the same like, oh my God, Elmo's my best friend. He makes me so happy. And it's just like, no, Elmo's still like a living quote unquote creature because like he pops off. He pops off. So it's like, you know, at a certain point, my kids are going to be like, oh, I no longer like this character. And it's like, oh, you're growing up. Oh, that's going to break my heart. It's like no more
yeah.
in the back of the mind. Like, nope, you're just dead to me. I'm like, oh, you're growing up, my babies,
Mm,
you know.
yeah.
And then when I
Bingo.
watch Inside Out, go on.
Yeah. Yeah, what happened to Bingo Bungo was sad, but it's also like,
Bing,
what, Bingo Bungo? I said his name wrong, didn't I?
no,
Bing
Bing
Bong.
Pong.
Bing Bong. Bing Bong.
You're getting
But
all the names mixed
I'm
up.
getting everybody's names wrong today, isn't it? But yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, it was sad, but it was also, I guess, bittersweet. He had to let himself go so that Joy can do what she
Joy
needed to
can.
do and help Riley move forward. And ultimately, that's what his job was as the imaginary friend, was to make um, Riley happy. When Riley was maybe was at that time where all she had was that imaginary friend, and his job was to keep her happy and to help her do what she needed to do. And now that she has less need for him and is at a point where she doesn't really have any need for him, he was just kind of prancing around the back of her memories, but now it's time for him to fade out. And he recognized that as like, this is my next role now.
Right.
This is my last thing that I need to do to help Riley. So like, it was sad, but it was also like, it was necessary, you know?
Right? It's like it's so weird because like we forget our memories too. And a figment of our imagination dies off. Because like
Mm,
when we're kids, we're like, oh yeah, like our friend Sam is playing with us at the tea party. And then eventually you stop having tea parties and then you no longer have that friend Sam at the tea party. Or Mrs. Potts no longer sits with you and such. Like you don't have those same kind of daydreams because you grow up. And that's kind of like an underlying thing of like how are you growing up and dealing with these emotions and
mm,
it's kind of sad. So now that Inside Out 2 is here, it just is different because it's like, okay, I think even now adults still fight the way that puberty hit in with Riley because it's like, yeah, you still feel that fear and embarrassment. And especially after COVID hit, right? Because now
mm,
we have to go out of our shells. Like we've been getting comfortable just being at home, like watching TV or knitting a scarf or something. I don't know. Some people even learned how to bake bread. And like now we are allowed to go out and physically socialize with people. And it's like, oh God, now what if I say something embarrassing? Oh goodness, we're out of practice.
mm.
Like, can you imagine you go up, oh wow, I like this person. It's like, oh yeah, that's so old. It's like, oh God, I'm old now. I'm so dated. But like something that will never be dated is saying that you like Backstreet Boys. Cause like, come on, like what's that? Like everyone loves Backstreet Boys.
You know
Like
what? Back in the day,
everybody.
I would never have said I like Backstreet Boys. Never. But
Ah,
now that I'm a bit older and I don't care about all that kind of stuff, yeah, Backstreet Boys were lit. I can't lie, Backstreet
uh,
Boys were lit. You
right.
know, like they back in the day, yeah, like they had some bangers. You know, like Everybody and uh, what's that
Backstreet's
one they
back. All
did?
right.
Is
Which
it
one?
is wait, is Everybody the one they did where in the video they had like it was like really
Bye bye bye.
dark?
Which one?
Uh, okay, there was a video they did, and the video was like really dark, and I think they were in like some kind of like old house, and I think they maybe had some like scary phantom type masks on. Um, is that Everybody or is that bye? It's not bye bye bye, but that
Um,
was a good one as well,
not.
right?
I want it that way. No, everybody. As long as you love me. Do you remember playing games with my heart, shape of my heart, larger than life? I think it's larger than life.
Okay, I don't feel remember them that well.
I'm looking at Google, so I'm kind of cheating. Let's see. The haunted house one is everybody.
That was Everybody. Okay, yeah, that was a cool video. I like that video.
I don't remember watching those. I just remember the music. Cause you are my fire.
In
Come
fact, you
on.
know what?
Like
Speaking of that,
everyone
actually,
knows. Yes, I'm ready.
yeah, speaking of that, like the whole thing about emotions and evolving, and like these days, I wouldn't say that I don't ever feel embarrassed. I think that'd be a lie if I said that, but I certainly don't feel embarrassment anywhere near as much as I used to. Certainly when it comes to things like saying I like the Backstreet Boys back in the day. Like I have no problem saying that, and there might be people who think that's funny and laugh. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like so, I feel like yeah, your emotions definitely do change. They don't necessarily go away, but I do feel think there is something to be said about you don't focus so much on certain things anymore, and you certainly like I say, you can still feel some embarrassment because I think that's just a part of life. There's times where you do something and it turns out to be the wrong thing, and everybody sees and it's a bit, and everybody's laughing at you, and you kind of feel that bit of embarrassment. But then I think more often than not, I could also see the funny side of those situations as well. So even though there's a little bit of embarrassment there, it's not like I'm running away and hiding forever either. So I do think that your emotions don't necessarily go away, but they do evolve, and I guess they work together to help you lean more towards seeing or helping you become like happier or seeing the funnier side or things like that.
Oh yeah, because like that's one of the big things of embarrassment is like with RuPaul's Drag Race. They're like, okay, if you feel embarrassed about something, make it your power. Bring joy to other people, like while finding joy in it as well, because that defines who you are. So sometimes it's like, okay, what are you supposed to do? Like this is a challenge about writing a book. What it's funny, making fun of me, like what, write a book about making chicken because I'm fat. And it's like, yeah, sure, if that makes you feel like if you find that funny, but like, you know, some people do that. They're like, hi, I'm a lesbian, but I really got a penis. And it's just like, oh, okay, if that's how they think it's funny. And, some people find embarrassment as an empowerment because,
Mm.
well, that might just be their kink. So,
Yeah, okay, yeah. I guess
some
there's
people,
just
yeah.
different ways of looking at it, right? Just you could take a situation and you can focus heavily on say the downside of it and let that ruin you or let that ruin your day or whatever. Or you could take a situation and be like, okay, yeah, this is a little embarrassing, but you know what? I learned something today, or I did something today that I never thought I would have done, or something that very few people have even attempted. And so what if it didn't go the way I planned? So what if I made a mistake or I got it wrong or somebody else did better than me or I got beat by you know the guy who did it for, what I mean, whatever. Like so
Yeah.
what? End of the day you did that. So I think like yeah, make that your power. I think that's interesting. That's a good way of I think looking at it. You know, make that your power. Like, in fact, saying that a quote that comes to mind is by Marie Forleo, who's a business coach. I think I want to say.
I don't know who this person is, so go on.
Yeah, she's I think she's a business coach or something along those lines. Anyway, but anyway, the quote is "Feel it for five, then say bye bye," and it's just like yeah, let yourself feel it, acknowledge it, but once you've done that, you move on, because and then you can't dwell on these things that they do serve a purpose, but their purpose is served very quickly. And if you dwell too much on it, you'll find that you're not doing yourself any favors at all. In fact, you start to negatively impact yourself by dwelling too much on something that's only supposed to serve a purpose for a short amount of time.
Right. And like another thing too to add to that is like a lot of people actually get embarrassed because they want to know what other people think about them, or like some people would say out loud, like, how embarrassing. And before you might not actually feel like it's embarrassing until someone tells you it is. And then you
Mm,
value their opinion more. Because like,
mm,
um, I could say like, oh, like I'm about to give birth, right? It's coming out like a human is coming out of me. How embarrassing that you had to look at my vagina, right? Like, no, it's actually really empowering to be able to like give birth to a human because not everyone can do that. It's
mm,
something special about women's bodies that can produce um uh babies. And there are some people who are transitioning to become women or to become men that can still give birth to babies, but you need to have a womb to be able to do it. I don't think I've ever heard of an artificial womb yet, so
yeah,
feel
I'm
free
not.
to correct me. I'm not transphobic. I'm saying that there are people that are transitioning, and if they would like to call themselves men, I will call them men. But they are not natural born men. They're naturally born a woman, but they feel like a man. So that's how they're represented. But the way I'm just trying to word it, like, don't come at me. Like, I'm not trying to say it's only women that can give birth to like babies. There are some people who can give birth to babies, but have been taking testosterone and hormones to become a man that just has a vagina. This is such a
Yeah,
sensitive topic now.
yeah. I get what you're trying to
Like,
say. I get what you're trying to say. It's like so good.
okay,
We kind of just drifted into a whole side of, but yeah, I get you. Like, yeah,
but yeah.
women.
So like,
Well, most
people
women
people
can
will
have
make you
babies,
feel
but yeah,
embarrassed.
yeah,
You don't have to feel embarrassed. Like, I feel like that is a man-made construct of being embarrassed. Because
sure, absolutely.
like like we knew that we became embarrassed because of knowledge, right? It's like man hid from God because he's like, I'm not clothed. You can see me. So that's a man-made construct of being like embarrassed, right? Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm?
no, I think yeah, I get it. I mean, I don't know if I guess I follow that as a little bit different, as not maybe not quite of embarrassment in a sense of, oh no, I'm clothed, but more of I guess, a realization that they disobeyed and the rules they were given, and then felt ashamed. And I guess
Oh, well, there's
feeling
that
ashamed
too
and
as well.
embarrassment are similar, but maybe not. Yeah, not exactly the same. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you mean. I
Same
get what you mean.
cloth,
Yeah,
you know. But it's like, oh, I'm embarrassed you could see me naked. Ooh. It's like, oh no. Like dogs aren't embarrassed to run around naked. They
mm,
got fur.
yeah,
We put clothes on dogs. It's a
yeah.
man-made construct. Dogs
They
aren't
might
out
be
there with
embarrassed by other
sweatshops.
dogs. Yeah. Did,
It,
when you see
it's
dogs see
also
other dogs with
funny.
clothes, they might be like, "Row, row, row, row. That's weird. You got clothes on. Row, 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 row."
It's like,
Yeah,
wow,
it
that looks
sucks.
tacky with your color of
My
fur.
owner does keeps putting it. So embarrassing. But yeah, could be.
What's funny? I used to paint my dog's nails, like her claws. I used to paint her claws.
Really, and your dog
Yeah.
never tried to run away.
No. Well, okay, so like she didn't get to come with us to Denmark, and that really hurt me because she was my purse bag dog. She was tiny. She was a teacup Maltese, and I knew like I felt so empowered having her dressed up, and she felt pretty. I know she did because she wants attention. The more human attention you can give her, the better she shined. And I was just like, you're just like me. You want to be pretty. You want to be pampered. She hardly walked. She hardly did anything. She wanted to be with me all the time. And I'm like, aw, she's me in dog form. And I even painted her nails. And I was just like, look, you got pink little claws. And it was cute because she had little white fur. And I mean, there are dog services that charge for that. They're like, would you like me to, you know, that they like, oh, do you want me to do like a cutie mark like My Little Pony onto your dog? And that's a thing.
Okay. I hope like you make your dog like a pony.
No, 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 no.
I
Like
mean like a My Little
cutie
Pony
mark.
pony.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So some like what is this called? Like poodles, they can have like specific cuts. Same with golden retrievers, because you can ask for them to like cut your dog to look like a lion. It's cool.
Oh wait, yeah, no, I've seen people do that sort of thing. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
You know, and some people are not embarrassed by that. I mean, that's a type of embarrassment. We're just going on this whole tangent
Yeah.
about embarrassment.
But yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So,
But
back to another question. Uh, it does make me happy to like see like the anxiety levels again, like and how they depict an anxiety attack. It kind of made me so sad to see Riley go through something so hardcore like that. And I'm like, but it's true.
mm,
And then she like handled it. But like, can you imagine being an adult and just like having a meltdown, crying in fetal position?
yeah, a lot of grown-ups don't handle it that well. That I mean that's fair. I think that's fair to say. So
Hmm.
yeah, she was able to, but I guess that's part of the reason why she was able to handle it is because, from early on, I guess she kind of figured out on some level that everything needs to be in some kind of sync and balance, right? So when that happened and she's like hyperventilating and breathing real heavy and all that sort of stuff, but what's going inside her mind is let's all come together. Let's all come together and create something new.
Right? And that was the new sense of self. Oh my
Yeah.
God, how Final Fantasy like was that when she put like all of the water core memories for creating sense of self? That was so cool. I
Mm.
love that. And it's like here's a new thread that becomes you. I'm like, oh, back to fabric, my favorite. Here, let me put this bead in some magic water and it becomes a string. I'm like, oh my God, tell me more.
Yeah. That string becomes a core part of who you are. Well, at least a core part of who you are. Something like that.
Exactly.
All
But yeah,
right.
I like that concept. I thought it was cool.
So, Celeste, before we wind down, um, do you have any last words and thoughts and things to say about Inside Out 1 or 2, or just Inside Out in general, that we haven't covered?
I thought it was really fun with Riley's date that her dad like was about to like really
Oh yeah,
hammer
yeah, the
down
short
on the
movie. Yeah,
kid.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And instead he's like, we were in a band once. And it's like, yeah, oh my God, we love AC/DC.
yeah, yeah.
And
That's
I
accurate,
really
by the
thought it
way.
was, oh,
That is so accurate.
right. And then I thought it was interesting how now that I'm a mom, it's like, hey, yo, cool sup, kid. Like, it's like lay the slang on deep so we can find out what they're doing. I'm like, oh no, that's going to be me. I'm going to be so out of it. Like all the somewhat newer phrases like bet, like, and like, oh, that slaps. I'm like, oh my God, I'm an old person now. Like, what
Yeah,
is
but
this?
by the
It's a
time your kids
banger. And I'm like,
grow
you know
up,
what? I understand banger. That's easy.
yeah, by the time your kids grow up, they'll think where's like Bet and Banger and stuff like that. They'd be way old, and you'd be like, "Oh
No.
yeah, Bet," and they'd be like, "Mom, nobody
Do
says that
you
no
remember?
more."
Do you know what's crazy? I'm waiting for my kids to be like, "Oh, that's tight." I'm like, "Uh-uh. I said that when I was young. You don't get to
Yeah.
say that."
Yeah.
Did you say tight?
I don't
Or
think we said tight. Not like, well, I mean, not in a slang way. Like, I mean, the slang I remember from that kind of era, that kind of time. I mean, I remember we used to say safe. That was a big one. Safe kind of had multiple meanings because you could kind of use it as a way of saying hello or goodbye, but it really just kind of meant cool. Like, let's say like, or thank you, stuff like that. Like
oh, how
if
strange.
you yeah, if you gave me something, if you gave me £1, I might be like, oh, save brethren, something like that, so yeah,
That's so
it
funny.
was mostly used in that way. But yeah, if we're apart in ways, we might be like, oh, safe, yeah, and as a way
Yeah.
of like saying see you later, or if
Yeah.
we're coming together, where I'm seeing you, be like, oh yeah, what up, man, safe, man, safe. So like, it kind of had a few different meanings, but I think like the kind of thank you type was probably the one was mostly used.
Yeah, I think I know the ones that I really was tight. And then another thing, I was really, do you remember the 90s movie Clueless starring Alicia Silverstone?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I remember.
And then
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Ant-Man
yeah. Ant
was in
Man.
it.
Oh,
Yeah, Paul Rudd was in it.
Paul Rudd. Oh, snap! Was he?
Yeah.
Okay. It's been a while
Yeah,
since I watched it, but all right.
he's Josh. So like I I still kind of am that girl who loves Clueless. Like, it's such an iconic movie, not just the fashions, but just like, oh, whatever. It's like, as if. It's like,
As
oh my God,
if.
how funny. I still kind of do that. And
What
I'm
about
like,
Mean Girls?
is that dated though?
That's so
Oh,
fetch. That was Mean
no,
Girls.
we don't do that. That will never be a thing.
Fetch was a cool slang. I liked fetch, but yeah, it never happened
I
in the
feel like
end.
that could have caught on. I feel like that
It
one could
really
have caught
should
on.
have. I think though, it really should have. That's so fetch. That really should have caught on, but it never did.
If we
It's a
could make it
shame that it
happen,
didn't.
it
We need to
can't.
make it happen.
No, it
20
can't.
whatever years later, but it needs to happen. There's like a
I mean, the fact that they brought back
remake and a
Mean Girls as a
musical.
musical, like, how could they? And that use
Me,
Fetch.
yeah.
I like the original too. I think that one was so good. I didn't watch the new one. I was like, do we have to
Nah,
have a new one?
nah, I ain't seen a new one, but the original from 2004 is a classic. Um, the remake,
20
it
years old.
has the same writer and director, I think, or is it the same writer? I
Yeah,
know
Tina
Tina
Fey.
Fey's still involved,
I think it was still
but
her
yeah, but it's like that was
because
like
she wrote
this
it.
year.
Yeah. But
But
that's
yeah,
all I have
great
to
film.
say is like eventually I'm gonna be that mom that's gonna be like lay the slang on them. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh great. I'm gonna have to consume like 20 hours of studying TikTok if that's still a thing to see like how to
Well,
converse with my children with slang at this point.
I
Find
mean,
out like the Urban Dictionary word of the day and
TikTok
just
might get
abuse it.
banned next month, or by January rather. So we're still waiting to see if that happens. But so maybe it's a thing,
I
maybe it's not. Well, we'll see.
I
There might
mean,
be a
if
new
it
thing
is a
by then.
thing, well, like, it's too bad because I'm slowly posting on there. I'm trying to post more and on all socials just because I have lots of content and you know, I feel like I should do more. So who knows? Sponsorships, woo. If not,
Mm,
I don't care because I like making content.
mm.
Woohoo.
I should probably clarify that it might get banned in America. But yeah,
And that's a
possibly,
huge market,
possibly.
but
But
I
yeah,
think because like
indeed.
that's all English users and so many people use it for their jobs too. So I'm like,
Yeah,
sucks for you.
I don't think they'll ban it though. I don't think so. I mean,
I'd be
I very much
shocked.
doubt it. I'll be very surprised if it actually gets banned. But hey, stranger things have happened, I suppose.
But it's from China, so it's just like they can I don't know how they could do that because people can just get a VPN, right?
Yeah,
And then
pretty
they could
much.
still access it. So what's the point?
I guess it just like convolutes it a little bit because you have to go like maybe a couple, one or two extra steps to actually use it, and that might slow down the amount of people who could be bothered. But
Kind of like
how
prohibition.
much that affects them, I guess that waits to be seen if indeed it does happen. But I mean, I just doubt it. I doubt it. I feel like it's a lot
I
of
don't
big
know.
talk, but I doubt it. But
No,
hey, I could be
because
wrong.
like on a
I could be wrong.
related note, sort of, like it's a little weird, but like I heard that Pornhub or something was banned from Texas. That's the large state in the
Oh,
USA.
really? Okay.
And that's because they can't verify the age properly, so they just banned it altogether, and it's impossible to access that site. And I'm like, but if you have a VPN, you should be able to, right?
Yeah, I think people make the effort with that site, don't also
Again,
with whether they
it
made the
ties
effort
in.
with.
So if
Yeah,
like I think it's like you just need the VPN stuff. So
I think people
that's
who
it. That's
use
all I got.
that site probably use VPNs anyway, so it's probably not even a issue at that point. But anyway,
NordVPN sponsor us. We're trying to get you to love us.
yeah, if you want to
Get
watch porn
NordVPN.
without people knowing, get a was that
I mean, you
virtual
never
porn
know.
network?
Get out. No more.
And on that note,
I'm done.
yeah,
I'm out.
well,
No more topic.
yeah,
And
I think we. Well, I feel like I've said it all I've wanted to say about Inside Out. How you feeling? Do you feel you've said all you said you wanted to say about Inside Out?
I think it's interesting that they have like they have islands. It reminds me of Islands of Adventure from Universal Studios. I want to find out what it's like if you have ADHD inside of a brain like that,
Oh,
or
that could
any
be
other mental
interesting. Yeah,
disability. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Or like if you evolve to have split personalities, what does that look like? There's so
oof,
many ways that they can kind of like branch out. And like it doesn't have to be negative. It doesn't have to be positive. But the one thing it does have to be is family friendly. Amen.
yeah, family friendly
But
with some depth to it. But yeah, that
yeah,
split person. I mean, I honestly, I feel they probably won't. I mean, it's Disney, so and split personalities can get real intense. So I don't know if they do that, but it would be really interesting if they did. If they had like I
but
don't know
that would
Disney
make such
adults,
great writing. You know what I
it
mean?
really
Because
would, right?
we we talk about all these things like, oh, my kid has autism. Oh, my kid has ADHD. Oh, my kid has Asperger's. Okay, well, show what that looks like. Show what that
Yes.
looks like in Inside Out because this is one of the best storylines, franchises. I shouldn't call it franchise, but mediums that you can show like this is what it feels like to be overstimulated in autism or
Mm,
like Riley and her family is what normal America looks like. Okay, so now present it in another manner. Like we don't need to see someone that's normal going through these tribulations of life anymore because now we understand it. We can. I mean, we could continue with her storyline and to the point where like maybe she does have a child that has like learning disability or like what does dyslexia look like, you know?
well, I mean, things like ADHD could be one of those things that get diagnosed a bit later in life. So it's not
That too.
impossible that she has it but doesn't realize it. So it's still an avenue. It's still a potential avenue. I think.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, those are my last parting words. It would be nice to really see like a mental handicap, or not saying that it has to be shown, but everyone's like, oh, Disney's woke culture. Oh, woke culture. Okay, well, let's just showcase what this could look like in a different manner. Because if we
Mm,
want to shed light to those who are quote unquote the minority or um, that wear the sunflower lanyard. I'm not ragging on anyone. And to showcase that they do have a little bit more special needs, then I think this is a really interesting way that they could present it in a nice light, and, and especially with the newer emotions being showcased.
mm, indeed. All
And
right
with
then.
that, that is what I have will end on.
All right.
I,
Well,
right? I think that's a
that's
powerful one to end on.
indeed, and that's our thoughts and feelings on Inside Out. If you've watched and or listened this far, let us know your thoughts and feelings on Inside Out. What did you think of it? What did you feel about it? What do you think it did well? What do you think it did not so well? All that stuff, and their depictions of the emotions, all that stuff. Let us know what you think. Drop a message in the comments or hit the Twitters at uncivilisedArt. But yeah,
It's
that's going to
X.
be. Oh yeah, it's called X now. My bad, my bad. Hit the X at Uncivilized Art. Sounds like a yeah. Just sounds like a porno site, doesn't it? Like X. It just. But
Oh,
anyway, that's what they're
I
calling it
wasn't
now.
gonna say that, but
It.
you said that. I was gonna say X marks the spot, but all right. Not trying to push that platform.
I mean, still
With
sounds.
that being said, thanks for tuning in, dear listeners. Remember, leave comments on if we've made anything wrong or incorrect. Feel free
Indeed.
to tell us, not attack
Yes,
us.
please. Yes,
Remember,
please.
I'm Celeste Orchid, and with your host, Boomy Hazan or Bandit Haze. You finish
I
it,
go by many names. Um,
Mr.
but
X
yeah,
now.
Mr. X. Yeah, right now I'm Mr. X. For the rest of this podcast, I'm just Mr. X. But yes, thank you for watching and or listening. And until whenever, if ever, peace.